concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
In the midst of finishing up a so-so 2023, Bob wondered where the sales were. He lost 2 long-term clients, and his back-end operations were slowing down production. His family business had always been successful, but now their outdated processes were holding back the growth. Bob knew he needed to embrace technology and upgrade their systems. He never thought he'd be stuck in the Stone Age. That's when he discovered Turnkey, who helped bring his business current. Now, Bob has a new e-commerce capability, a cutting-edge marketing plan, and a real growth strategy. With Turnkey's help, he's developed a new vision for what's possible, a plan for the future, and a small business partner to help him get things done.
If you need a partner to help you with a fresh perspective for 2024, or if you feel like you're falling behind, Turnkey believes that every business has the opportunity to stay current and competitive. Turnkey is here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support that you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Start a conversation today. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Retirement planning can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Tune in to Retirement and Income Radio, hosted by well-known Chicagoland financial educator Mark Kohler. Mark helps listeners in or near retirement protect their savings from market volatility while creating lifetime guaranteed income. Listen to Retirement and Income Radio Sunday afternoons at 3:30 on AM 560 The Answer, or call Mark now at 844-619-SAFE.
Are you tired of going online every day and getting news meant to make you afraid? Or meaningless celebrity gossip fighting for your attention? Want something different? Something positive? Make your new homepage Christianity.com with daily devotionals, answers to life's tough questions, and meaningful Bible study from favorite pastors and authors on today's current events and issues. Now you have a homepage that reflects your life and your faith. Join the thousands of others who have joined Christianity.com and experience the difference that good news can make in your life.
Where can you go anytime, day or night, to hear full-length radio programs from favorites like John MacArthur, Greg Laurie, and Chuck Swindoll? The new OnePlace.com. Where can you get free devotionals, podcasts, and articles on issues like marriage and parenting, politics and current events, and Christian living for men and women? The new OnePlace.com. Your favorite Christian teachers, online and on mobile at OnePlace.com. OnePlace.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. All right, well, we now know the whereabouts of SecDef General Lloyd Austin, who was AWOL for a time over the holidays. This was a back and forth between John Kirby and Peter Doocy over Austin's disappearance, failure to inform the White House about these medical procedures, plural. We now know that he had suffering from prostate cancer, which is no insignificant thing.
It's not elective surgery, please.
Well, I mean, there may be an aspect of it that was with respect to the prostatectomy surgery, but regardless. So Doocy asked the question of NSC spokeshuman John Kirby, boy, that's long overdue with respect to this administration.
Why should we believe anything that this administration tells us about anything ever again?
I think we all recognize, and I think the Pentagon has been very, very honest with themselves about the challenge to credibility by what has transpired here, and by how hard it was for them to be fully transparent with the American people. I think we all recognize that. And wait, now just give me a second now. I know you got another one coming here, but we all recognize that this didn't unfold the way it should have on so many levels, not just the notification process up the chain of command, but the transparency issues. We all recognize that. And I think we all want to make sure we learn from that. It's up to you and your colleagues, and it's up to the American people to determine how much they're going to ascribe what happened here to our credibility on every single issue. But in every way, Secretary Austin has been an exceptional defense secretary, and he still has the full faith and confidence of the commander-in-chief. He has led the department at an incredibly dangerous time for our national security interests and those of our allies and partners.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA. Turnkey.pro text line. That's good enough. Look, as long as that everybody at the Pentagon learned from this, that's the important thing.
Maybe I don't know too much about prostate cancer, but or elective surgeries related to it. But he went in for the procedure December 22nd, and then an ambulance rushed him to the hospital on January 1st, and nobody knew about it for 4 days. Come on.
Well, first of all,
TMZ when you need them?
Well, first of all, right, I mean, even if the story, if it was elective surgery, well, elective surgery gets scheduled, so you would have known when you were going to have the elective surgery, and you would have told somebody. And then they said, well, the elective surgery, he wasn't under general anesthesia. He was fully alert through the procedure. Okay, but he was under general anesthesia for the prostatectomy around Christmas time. So why didn't anybody know about that? Because then he was incapacitated effectively for a period of time. Right. But
he was in ICU, Dan. How is somebody in ICU not? He's sixth in line to be president, and nobody knows about it.
Well, the other thing, too, just in terms of this description from Kirby, I love this. This is what we get with every snafu that comes from our betters in public office. Look, we all recognize that something went wrong here, and we all learn from it, and we all still have confidence in one another, so we're going to be better. This whole generic we business, this is a way to avoid holding any single person accountable, including like the principal person who should be held accountable, which would be Lloyd Austin. I believe he understands military chain of command, and so if he applied it to himself, where would he have the buck stop if it was somebody else and it wasn't him? Anyway, I digress. It's just such a nice little rhetorical artifice. Everybody understands what you're saying, and everybody agrees with you, and everybody feels bad about it. But the good news is everybody still has confidence in each other, so everybody should just move on.
And President Biden said even if he wanted to resign, he wouldn't accept his resignation.
So then Ducey has the follow-up, which is an operative question, too. And the follow-up question is, well, if you're going to conspire to withhold information from the press corps about the Secretary of Defense, what about if there was, say, perish the thought, negative health information surrounding the president?
If the administration made some sort of Machiavellian effort across the board to keep this from getting public, then I think your question has merit and certainly is a fair one. I don't think it's a fair one because that's not what happened here, Peter. What happened here is the Secretary of Defense, for whatever reason, I can't answer the question why, that information wasn't shared. It wasn't shared widely in the department, and it certainly wasn't shared with the interagency. It's not good. It's certainly not good, which is why, again, we want to learn from this. We want to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Look, we're on the job.
Oh, my God.
Don't worry about us. We get what you're saying.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line, which is fired up and ready to go, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
See, here it was just, I guess, this is their story. I'm not sure I accept this either, but let's just, for the sake of argument, say it's true. This was just the Pentagon working together to keep information from the White House as well as the country. It wasn't a situation where we had the whole of government trying to keep information from the public. So that's how it's different. Now, if there was some information about President Biden that called into deeper question, if that's even possible at this point, his physical and mental ability to do the job, then you can trust us that we would be transparent about that, because we've learned from this experience and we're just as upset about it as you are.
I mean, we're in two wars right now, and this is happening during a time when the Syrians and the Iraq, I mean, there's 14 times during his hospitalization that we've had attacks on U.S. air bases overseas in the Middle East. And he's not there, but he didn't even tell anybody. And Major General Ryan had something to say about this yesterday.
Whose decision was it not to alert the president that the defense secretary had prostate cancer?
We're providing that information to you as we've received it. We received that this afternoon, and we're providing it to you now.
Clearly you didn't know. Did the chief of staff know?
I'm not going to go into the specifics on who specifically knew what, when, and where.
Because nobody knew anything.
Somebody knew. Major General Joseph Ryan is the Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff. For those of you who don't have your Pentagon scorecards at the ready, but
yes, thank you.
Right. So, hey, look, we don't want to get. I mean, it's the same thing. We have that information and we're going to provide it to you, but we're not. I'm not going to get into the specifics of who knew what when. No, of course not. Because this is like we are taking responsibility, so none of us individually has to. You see, Kip in Stillman Valley, here in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, this is wrong on so many levels. Glad to hear you guys are back after the first of the year. Thanks. But first off, there was all kinds of news stories on the news that he was all going around and negotiating, having talks during the freaking holidays, and not only that, this guy, it's just lies coming from this, and it's broken. No, like the border's broken. No, they don't enforce not only the laws, but the chain of command and everything, and we're in war. This is just. It's broken. We're going to fix it. Bulldog.
Thanks for the call, Kip. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Joe Biden kicked off campaign season with a fiery speech claiming that democracy itself is on the ballot this year. He's absolutely right, though not in the way he intended. Biden was disparaging his likely opponent, Donald Trump, but there's never been a more autocratic administration than his own. It sought to censor Americans' lawful speech on the internet. It sicked the FBI both on parents who complained at school board meetings and on traditional Catholic churches in a hunt for supposed domestic radicals. None of this is how our democratic republic has ever worked. It's certainly unprecedented for any president to try to imprison his top political opponent, destroy his business, and have him thrown off the ballot. America indeed faces a crisis of democracy, but it's not coming from Donald Trump. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, for those considering careers in politics and policy.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
When you have lost former ABC7 political reporter Andy Shaw, have you lost Chicago? Andy Shaw no longer feels safe in Chicago, and he explains why at 5:38.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
33 degrees at 5:30, 700 flights canceled already today as deadly storms battered the U.S. yesterday. Airports from the Northeast to the Midwest shutting down some flights. Storms in Florida turned deadly. Tornadoes striking the central Florida town of Lydia Cup.
This has been a lot of storms in a row. We've never had things like this happen before where it's been one after another so frequently.
Another storm predicted to make its way across the Midwest, south and east Thursday night into Saturday. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to seek governance reform. There's more trouble in the Red Sea as Houthi rebels continue to attack ships headed to Israel. Fox's Trey Yingst has more from Tel Aviv.
A new attack was launched overnight by Iran-backed Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. A U.S. official telling Fox News that the combined drone and missile attack was the largest to date to target the shipping lane. 18 drones were shot down during that incident by U.S. forces in what is the 26th Houthi attack since mid-November. We're also following confirmation this week by the U.S. Treasury that Iran has accessed some of its $10 billion unfrozen by waivers permitted by the Biden administration. Blinken did address this just last week.
Now, we understand a total of 21 missiles and drones were used in the attack. Almost all of them were shot down by two American destroyers, with the UK's HMS Diamond also taking part in shooting down the missiles and drones. Federal regulators are extending the grounding of some Boeing jets after an Alaska Airlines plane lost a side panel last week. World markets are mixed today after a lackluster session on Wall Street. Benchmarks fell in London, Hong Kong, and Shanghai, but rose in Paris and Frankfurt. California lawmakers are debating whether to ban tackle football for children under the age of 12. The bill is a long way from becoming law. It must clear the state assembly by the end of January to have a chance becoming law. Police say two boys were hospitalized last week after falling through the ice at a Madison area pond. Last night, they passed away. Sun Prairie police say the 8-year-old and 6-year-old were first hospitalized on Friday in critical condition after first responders pulled them from a pond. A fire truck responding to a blaze at a fast food restaurant crashed into an SUV and rolled on its side late Tuesday in southern Illinois, injuring 3 firefighters in Belleville. No one hurt following a shootout involving an off-duty Chicago police officer on the southwest side. No arrests have been made. The off-duty officer was taken to the hospital for observation. And the village of Oak Lawn is banning unscheduled migrant bus drop-offs. Village board voting last night to approve a new ordinance requiring special permitting. Mayor Terry Vorderer saying the village doesn't have the resources to handle the issue. Cubs make a splash in baseball free agency, finally, agreeing to a deal with left-handed starter Shota Imanaga from Japan. Blackhawks gave up 15 shots. Pretty good defensive effort, but still lost to Edmonton 2-1. Bulls take on the Rockets tonight. Tennessee Titans have fired coach Mike Vrabel. Bears assistant GM Ian Cunningham is drawing interest from several NFL clubs, including Washington. College hoops, number 1 goes down again. Nebraska defeats top-ranked Purdue in Big Ten play 88-72. The news, a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher looks ahead at 2024.
Are you ready? Are you buckled in? Are you bracing yourself? We're going to need each other. We're sort of in this split between establishment Republicans and Republicans who have pivoted into a more populist, America First outlook. And that, to me, is what the whole year is going to be about.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy Jacobson here on behalf of all of us here at AM 560 The Answer. I wanted to take just a minute to say thank you to each and every one of you who's participated in our annual Food for the Poor campaign over the past month. Because of your generosity, we've raised nearly $200,000 to provide food for an entire year for over 4,700 children in Latin America and the Caribbean. We especially want to thank the many business benefactors who supported this campaign. This year, when you hear their commercials airing on this station, please support their businesses as a way of thanking them for their generosity. And just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. You can still make a tax-deductible gift of any amount to Food for the Poor by visiting 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. And on behalf of all of us here at AM 560 The Answer and at Food for the Poor, thanks again for your generosity.
Long day. Time to charge up.
Hey, just like my delivery truck.
Even kids know to keep business moving forward, it's time to make the switch to electric vehicles. Whether you have one van or a whole fleet of trucks, resources are available to help you make the changes that make sense.
Let's go.
Beep, beep.
Go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, on the Patriots Alaska cruise this summer. It's an incredible opportunity to engage with me and other like-minded patriots on an epic 7-day cruise over 4th of July weekend. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. What could be better? Join me from June 29th to July 6th. Call 855-565-5519 or reserve online. PatriotsAlaskaCruise.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
There's no better time than the new year to help protect your identity and finances. LifeLock detects potential threats to your identity that you may miss on your own. If you do become a victim, a U.S.-based LifeLock restoration specialist will work to fix it. LifeLock is the New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Save 25% off your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to lifelock.com. Promo code CLAY to save 25%. That's lifelock.com, promo code CLAY.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
5:38, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. No major problems to keep you getting out of the garage and getting you to work on time. Palos, 135th between Harlem and Ridgeland does have some flooding. It's closed there. There's detours posted. I-80 has an accident. Left lane block westbound just before Larkin. Delays this morning on the Dan Ryan, typical 13 minutes and climbing from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Brake lights 79th up through 71st. We've got a stall on the Ike inbound at Laramie. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, a service of QC Kinetics. Cloudy and 32 today. Flurries overnight, just some accumulating snow. An inch or so and a low of 27. 34 officially at O'Hare, 35 at Midway, 35 along the lakefront. No snow right now. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Andy Shaw, venerable newsman, Andy Shaw.
I love Andy Shaw.
I liked Andy, but I love this byline for him in the NPR Times, state-funded, state-run media. Andy Shaw is a good government advocate. Who is not a good government advocate? Andy Shaw is a corrupt government advocate. Good government, these goo-goos. By the way, Andy Shaw, who I always got along with, I liked him, even though he's a lib. He was pretty fair. He wanted to tell a story, not just advance the flag of a particular leftist Paul, although sometimes he did. But he's pretty fair. Pretty good newsman, actually. But Andy Shaw was not a good government advocate, and he's not a good government advocate. He's a big government advocate. And there's a difference. All these goo-goos in Chicago that stylize themselves as good government advocates. And big government is antithetical to good government. Just a little sidebar before we get to what Shaw had to say about why he's afraid to move about freely in the city of Chicago these days, which is new for him, so he writes. As a 21-year-old college dropout working at a psychiatric hospital in Hyde Park, working, Andy, or residing? Let's be honest.
Okay, come on.
No, I'm kidding.
No, he doesn't reside there. He has a home in Michigan.
Oh, he's talking about a 21-year-old.
Right.
I mean, as a 21-year-old college dropout working at a psych hospital in Hyde Park, I frequently took the red line from the mostly empty 55th Street station to Fullerton near my Lincoln Park apartment at 2 a.m. I would occasionally share the platform and train with a few sketchy folks, but it was routine. I was rarely afraid or anxious over those many years that I reported on Chicago. I felt safe in my sweet home Chicago, even when I traveled alone on foot or on public transportation. But things have changed drastically for the worse recently, for me and for our city, for reasons I still don't fully understand. Of course you don't. Of course you don't understand. Sure, I'm a 75-year-old senior now, long past the bulletproof vibrancy of youth, but I feel like the same person, only traversing a different city that has many more palpable threats. And he talks about taking the blue line to O'Hare and being jarred by the faces around him staring at him or staring off vacuously into the distance, just uncomfortable. He also talks about going to have dinner with his daughter and her husband in Logan Square. Why is she living in Logan Square? I have no idea. Maybe that's a question you should ask her. And saying, you know what, it's after dark. I'm not going to walk the 6 blocks to the L stop. I'm going to ride share at home. He, of course, strikes a note of optimism. I'm still wondering what changed. The adverse effects of the pandemic hardship and isolation, ? A brazen confidence that ineffectual law enforcement makes apprehension unlikely. Why is the law enforcement ineffectual might be a question he wants to ask himself. I was heartened to hear about the intermittent success of beefed-up efforts to catch robbers and the willingness of judges to keep some behind bars. Enhanced police presence has reduced last year's epidemic of shoplifting, robberies, assaults, and flash mob gatherings that plagued areas in and around the downtown and lakefront neighborhoods. So maybe the new focus on these robberies will have a similar effect. I don't know what he's talking about. Honestly. Police presence has reduced last year's epidemic of shoplifting, robberies, assaults, flash mob gatherings.
Please.
And, we can hope for positive long-term impacts to improve education. Oh, sure. How's that been going over the last half century, Andy, since you've been around? In the meantime, he writes, this once fearless, self-assured city traveler, now a wary senior, will not try to become a statistic by taking unnecessary chances at inopportune hours. I won't stay home barricaded behind locked doors, but I sure as hell won't walk alone down any deserted neighborhood street after dark until Chicago feels more like the city I used to know. The city I used to know. 312-642 to 5600. Turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro. Text line, are you in Andy Shaw, the Andy Shaw camp? Cue the GoTA. Is Chicago just someplace you used to know?
I mean, you left the what you used to know, which is the smartest thing you've probably ever done.
Yeah. Well. I mean, he's very sheepishly describing what we have been talking about for years, which is a city that is disintegrating under its own weight, at its own hands. That's what's happening. It's been happening. You know, it takes longer to get to some neighborhoods than others. It takes longer to impact the lives of some versus others. But now it's here citywide. As we told you for many moons, it would be, when we used to say things like, you can't have 45 wards burn down around you and think you in the 5 or so wealthy wards are going to be somehow insulated. That's not how it works. So here we are now. What do you want to do about it? Well, you can strike hopeful notes. We hope somehow kids in CPS are given the opportunity to earn a better education. We hope that law enforcement strategies, to the extent that they're allowed by the political leadership in the city and the county, are going to have some marginal positive impact. We hope for these things. We hope for this and we hope for that. Meanwhile, the death spiral's rotation continues to increase in pace.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Our text line is up and running, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Andy Shaw might want to recall somebody he was a big fan of, Barack Obama. Something he should have learned from the Obama years, that hope isn't a strategy. Jeff in Cal City.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I just wanted to say that author is a racist and a closet white supremacist that wants to harken back to the days of good old days of Jim Crow.
Yes.
Sounds like to me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Use the kind of rhetoric that Andy Shaw otherwise tolerates when his fellow travelers used against conservatives. How dare you harken back to 50 years ago when you blithely took the L wherever you wanted to go and would walk carefree at night in the cities. How dare you? What are you trying to say, Andy? I mean, you know, it's just a statistical fact that the majority of crimes are committed by young black men, and the majority of crime victims, particularly violent crime, are young black men too. So that's some racist stuff that Andy Shaw is spewing. Let's just chalk it all up to systemic racism and move on, because that's not Andy, but that's what Andy Shaw's fellow travelers, that's what they like to do until they get mugged.
Well,
until
Andy
someone they care about gets victimized.
Right, and it's only a matter of time. But Andy Shaw added Marianne Ahern said, can you help us? Just tell us WT something seems to be going on with the people who run or influence the direction of Chicago. You have a front row seat, Marianne, like I did, and Chicagoans depend on us to see through the smoke and mirrors and help them see the light. We need your perspective, please. Okay.
We're
first
supposed
of all,
to.
Brandon Johnson is rarely accessible to the media. But,
please spare me. Like you need access to these demagogues in order to describe what they're doing. That's a complete cop out. The idea that the Chicago Press Corps is going to be part of the answer here. They I mean, with all due respect to Andy, they have been instrumental in exacerbating all of these problems for as long as I've been around. So that's, I mean, in the city, that would have been 25 years, but it predates me by, at least a couple of decades. So some good reporters have come and gone, fine, and what's left is sort of the same shell in the press corps that you see in all of these institutions and, frankly, the business footprint. But the idea that any of the institution that was so corrupt, so complicit, and is completely hollowed out is going to be some sort of clawing back and awakening a electorate that doesn't even get animated by the most graphic and gruesome sort of predation, like we talked about yesterday. Hundreds of cases of sexual abuse of minors at the hands of adults in CPS, allegations that have been substantiated as credible. And nobody even, there's muted coverage and there's sort of no conversation about it, and much less action taken, except some recommendations from an inspector general. But no, the Chicago Press Corps, that's who we have to rely on to expose something. What is there to expose? It's all right in front of you. The problem is not exposure. The problem is you have a majority of this city that averts their eyes to what is exposed. So as per usual, Andy is offering a very Pollyannish view of the situation, as well as these institutions that are supposed to ride to our rescue. The same institutions that brought Chicago to this place all had a role. Joe in Naperville.
Hey, I think Andy needs to one-up his game and say, I want to just move into a migrant camp where I could be safe and I could be fed and I could have free health care. The question that Andy shouldn't be asking is, I want to bring it back. The question should be asking is, why is it acceptable that it's like this? When did it get acceptable that it's like this? And how can we change not having it acceptable like this? Get back to the journalistic, the W's and the H's. He's clearly not doing that.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Well, the other thing, too, is, I don't, Andy Shaw or somebody like him with these self-styled Googles. Well, I don't agree with what's happening. I don't like it. Well, guess what, buddy? You're not in charge anymore.
No.
This is the
you
same
don't
thing
have a front row seat anymore.
This is the same thing we had to tell the Irish Mafia. Apparently they didn't get the message with Lightfoot, so the city doubled down and gave you BLM Brandon. Hey, you don't like it? Well, that's tough. You're not in charge anymore. And by the way, we didn't like it when you were in charge. So we're going to do to you what you did to us. How do you like that? Mike on the southwest side.
How you doing? I'm a truck driver, and I've been challenged a couple of times by people, coming after me in my truck. The city is getting outrageously dangerous, and it's because of the politicians not backing the police and the police not doing their jobs. I think it's terrible. It's almost to the point where I have to carry a gun with me for protection in the city. And I think the comment you just made, Dan, hit it right on the head.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Appreciate it. Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and thanks for taking my call. Yeah, when I hear that letter that Andy Shaw wrote, I think of just a leftist foot soldier, state-run media guy who gets just part of the whole thing because 75 years old, living in this city, reporting on things, seeing what's going on as the leftist after leftist just take and destroy this place and everything. And the way he talks about it and everything, something just happened and that. It's all bull dung. What a disaster kind of a letter and everything to expose himself as a foot soldier of the state-run media as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks, Craig. By the way, a related story, since Andy Shaw is sort of regurgitating things that have a loose connection to the truth about crime reduction. Commander David Harris has been suspended for 7 days for inaccurately claiming that crime was down in his district and that he was responsible for it. He claimed that he claimed last year that since he took over, crime was down 44%. Said this in an interview, and then actually people like CWB Chicago took a look at it and they found that crime was up 30%. Rounding error. He says it's down 44. It's up 30. So he's suspended for 7 days for claiming crime is down when crime is up. So when do suspensions get meted out for Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
This is Dennis Prager. Now you can listen to my show when it's convenient for you and without censorship from big tech. Become a member of the ultimate online community for all things Prager. It's Pragertopia Unlimited. Listen to the show on demand when it's easiest for you. This includes every radio show, every segment, and every guest over the last 10 years, and it's commercial free. You can even share your favorite segments with your friends. Plus, you'll get the same email from Alan Estrin that I receive every night about the most important issues to read about. Pragertopia Unlimited members can also listen to every program, lecture, and course that is in the Prager store. Thousands of hours. You can even listen to all my Torah teachings for free. Share my passion for free speech. Join today and save 25% off the first year and get a free Pragertopia coffee mug. It's all things Prager. Pragertopia Unlimited. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Joe Biden kicked off campaign season with a fiery speech claiming that democracy itself is on the ballot this year. He's absolutely right, though not in the way he intended. Biden was disparaging his likely opponent, Donald Trump, but there's never been a more autocratic administration than his own. It sought to censor Americans' lawful speech on the internet. It sicked the FBI both on parents who complained at school board meetings and on traditional Catholic churches in a hunt for supposed domestic radicals. None of this is how our democratic republic has ever worked. It's certainly unprecedented for any president to try to imprison his top political opponent, destroy his business, and have him thrown off the ballot. America indeed faces a crisis of democracy, but it's not coming from Donald Trump. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, for those considering careers in politics and policy.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I mean, I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, wow. And I just appreciate, I'm impressed. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
In the midst of finishing up a so-so 2023, Bob wondered where the sales were. He lost 2 long-term clients, and his back-end operations were slowing down production. His family business had always been successful, but now their outdated processes were holding back the growth. Bob knew he needed to embrace technology and upgrade their systems. He never thought he'd be stuck in the Stone Age. That's when he discovered Turnkey, who helped bring his business current. Now, Bob has a new e-commerce capability, a cutting-edge marketing plan, and a real growth strategy. With Turnkey's help, he's developed a new vision for what's possible, a plan for the future, and a small business partner to help him get things done.
If you need a partner to help you with a fresh perspective for 2024, or if you feel like you're falling behind, Turnkey believes that every business has the opportunity to stay current and competitive. Turnkey's here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support that you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Start a conversation today. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
AM 560. The Answer.
You know, I forgot one of Andy Shaw's son-in-laws is that Rachel Maddow lookalike on MSNBC, Chris Hayes, who's who's a defund police, anti-law enforcement crank. Maybe Andy has some questions for him.
Today, more rain. It's now 6 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Iran-backed militants do it again. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News launching another attack from Yemen in the Red Sea.
A U.S. official telling Fox News that the combined drone and missile attack was the largest to date to target the shipping lane. 18 drones were shot down during that incident by U.S. forces in what is the 26th Houthi attack since mid-November.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Israel, where Secretary of State Antony Blinken urged Israeli leaders to do more to protect civilians as the war rages in Gaza with more than 23,000 Palestinian deaths already. He also said Hamas could have ended this months ago by
not hiding behind civilians, by putting down its weapons, by surrendering, by releasing the hostages.
Blinken's now in the West Bank, where some are protesting his visit as the secretary meets with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The House will hold an impeachment hearing today focused on Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, blaming him for a record surge of illegal immigration. Some in Congress also want to impeach Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin for not even telling the White House. For days, he had prostate cancer surgery, then was hospitalized with complications. Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder says,
"We recognize the need to be better when it comes to transparency."
There are at least 4 people dead after storms hit a lot of America. 2 were killed by tornadoes in North Carolina and Alabama, where someone else was killed by a falling tree. The same thing happened in Georgia. There are more than 600,000 power outages with snow in the Midwest, flooding in the Northeast. We're now just 5 days from the caucuses in Iowa, where at a Fox News town hall last night, Ron DeSantis said this election should be about defeating President Biden.
If Donald Trump is the nominee, the election is going to be about legal issues, criminal trials, January 6th. It'll be a referendum on him.
The Florida governor is a distant second to the former president in many Iowa Republican polls. There is a Trump Fox News town hall tonight. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 33 degrees, dry conditions. There may be a flurry overnight. No one hurt following a shootout involving an off-duty Chicago police officer on the southwest side. It happened yesterday in the 7200 block of South Spaulding. The off-duty officer was taken to the hospital for observation. The village of Oak Lawn is banning unscheduled migrant bus drop-offs. There's a new ordinance voted on last night requiring special permitting to operate those type of buses. Mayor Terry Voderer is saying the village doesn't have the resources to handle the issue. Opposition growing against a proposal to raise property taxes on several owners in the city. The awkwardly named Bring Chicago Home resolution would hike transfer taxes up to 3%, allegedly to fund homeless issues. Now a coalition has filed suit to prevent the referendum from even happening because they say the language lists though all 3 of potential tax increases under the umbrella of a single question.
It's something called log rolling, and that is where you entice someone to vote for something because it includes a decrease, but actually it includes 2 increases.
That's Amy Masters from the Building Owners and Managers Association. The proposed referendum was scheduled to appear on the March 19 ballot in Chicago. The Blackhawks want a lawsuit brought by a former prospect to be dropped. Team filed a motion yesterday dismissing a negligence suit accusing them of covering up sexual assault and harassment allegations made by the former prospect in 2010 against then video coach Brad Aldridge. Cubs make a free agent splash. They're working on a deal with left-handed ace starting pitcher Shota Imanaga from Japan. Blackhawks gave up just 15 shots in a good defensive effort, but a 2-1 loss to Edmonton. Bulls host Houston later on tonight. The news is service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing digital solutions to surround your target audience at surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Going to say I think that Tucker Carlson is the easiest and the best choice. It's the easiest to give us a chance for victory. Now, whether or not Tucker wants to be vice president remains to be seen, but we trust him. He's 100% America first, and we can waive the lie detector test for Tucker. There's no mystery. We know what he believes.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
When you're looking to make your business bulletproof, what comes to mind? Trustworthiness? Accuracy? Truthiness? Well, that's not even a real word. In today's competitive business landscape, considerations like trust, attention to service, accuracy, and knowledge are critical. So is cost, and finding the right balance is important, especially where your business insurance, employee benefits, and executive compensation needs are concerned. For bulletproofing your business, remember DSP Insurance Services. DSP is family-owned and has provided comprehensive risk management solutions and strategic excellence across industries for over 40 years. Business owners continue to partner with DSP because they offer the robust services of a national broker, yet a personal touch that is harder than ever to find these days. Contact DSP Insurance Services for a business and risk audit today. Visit online at dspmybusiness.com. That's dspmybusiness.com. DSP Insurance, your outsourced risk management department since 1981.
6:07. Let's check the roads this morning in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. No major problems. The Edens and Kennedy are off on time. The Ike has a stall. A couple of flat tires cleared inbound at Laramie, but delays are flashing up right near 25th. Stevenson, a typical morning commute at 30 minutes, 3:55 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, disabled vehicle, left lane blocked. It's in the Express, inbound between 51st and the Chinatown feeder. I-80, an accident, left lane blocked, westbound just before Larkin. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, here's Steve Williams.
It'll be mostly cloudy today, the high at 32. Cloudy skies tonight, flurries, some snow late, maybe an inch, low 27. Cloudy day tomorrow, the high 30. Cloudy with snow on Friday, 3 to 6 inches, the high Friday at 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Dry at all reporting stations, cloudy skies, 34 at O'Hare, 34 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, lots of happenings yesterday in the world of Trump's legal wranglings. Let's start with his appearance and through his legal representatives before the D.C. Appeals Court seeking a dismissal of charges against him in the cases brought by Jack Smith under the theory that he has immunity for acts, official acts he conducted as President of the United States. The headline, of course, was, with this exchange you're about to hear, was this Trump lawyers say he could assassinate his political opponents and not be prosecuted. That is typically misleading from the hysterical D.C. press corps. It's more complicated than that. It's more nuanced than that. And by the way, his attorney, who argued his case before the D.C. appeals court, he's not a clown. I know there have been some clown attorneys around Trump over the years. There have also been a lot of clown attorneys that have been on the other side trying to take Trump down. And Jack Smith and Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg are some of them, by the way. But Dijon Sauer is not one. So here is the actual exchange between Sauer and one of the appellate judges, Florence Pan, on this topic. And listen closely, because he's making essentially a political process argument. And there are not only cases that are relevant to the discussion, but also an understanding of the founders' vision for Article III courts. I mean, this is grounded in the Constitution. This is grounded in musings in the Federalist Papers. So just listen. Don't read the blaring headlines from know-nothings in the D.C. press corps.
But your position is that he can't be prosecuted for that unless he's impeached.
Yeah, that was, as long as it's an official act. I mean, certain cases, purely private conduct under Clinton against Jones, he'd be subject to prosecution for that, so long as he's not in office. But as long as it's official act.
Could a president order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival? That's an official act in order to SEAL Team 6?
He would have to be, and would speedily be, impeached and convicted before the criminal prosecution.
What if he weren't? There would be no criminal prosecution, no criminal liability for that?
Chief Justice's opinion in Marbury against Madison and our Constitution and the plain language of the impeachment judgment clause all clearly presuppose that what the founders were concerned about was not.
I asked you a yes or no question. Could a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival who was not impeached, would he be subject to criminal prosecution?
If he were impeached and convicted first. And
so your answer is no.
My answer is qualified yes. There's a political process that would have to occur under the structure of our Constitution, which would require impeachment and conviction by the Senate. In these exceptional cases, as the OLC memo itself points out from the Department of Justice, you'd expect a speedy impeachment and conviction. But what the founders were much more worried about than using criminal prosecution to discipline presidents was what James Madison calls in Federalist Number 47, the newfangled and artificial treasons. They were much more concerned about the abuse of the criminal process for political purposes to disable the presidency from factions and political opponents. And of course, that's exactly what we see in this case.
Well, one more time around between those two for emphasis.
Given that you're conceding that presidents can be criminally prosecuted under certain circumstances, doesn't that narrow the issues before us to can a president be impeached? Can a president be prosecuted without first being impeached and convicted? All of your other arguments seem to fall away. Your separation of powers arguments fall away. Your policy arguments fall away if you concede that a president can be criminally prosecuted under some circumstances.
I disagree with that. The Constitution in the Article 2 Section 1 vesting clause, as interpreted very clearly by Chief Justice Marshall in Marbury against Madison, says Article 3 courts lack jurisdiction to engage in examination of the president's official acts. That's been reaffirmed.
But you just conceded that Article 3 courts can do so if he's been impeached and convicted.
The Constitution makes a carefully balanced, explicit exception to that principle in the impeachment judgment clause. So the problem for the separation of powers, the Constitution does this in many other situations where it engages in a balancing. What the framers were most concerned about was not the notion that the president would never be prosecuted for things that outrage his political opponents. What they were concerned about was politically motivated prosecutions. But they didn't say the president can never be prosecuted. They set up the separation of powers and they created a very narrow exception that would allow prosecution in those cases.
Right. And the exception doesn't undermine the overarching principle, is the point that Sauer goes on to make in response to Judge Pan there, Florence Pan. The So she's saying, well, because there is an exception, because there's this balancing that Sauer's talking about, well, then all of your other arguments fall away, and it's just a matter of it's just a process argument. Impeachment and conviction has to come before prosecution with respect to official acts. So first you have to establish, are we talking about prosecution of an official act? And then if we are, then here's this process, impeachment and conviction prior to prosecution in a criminal setting. You see what I'm saying about how different the conversation actually is, the arguments actually are, as opposed to how it's been sensationalized, how it's been reported in such a sensationalized way, which just further not only disinforms through misinformation, to borrow two favorite words of the D.C. press corps, the larger public, but then it just pushes people into their respective camps where very few actually even understand what the arguments are, what we're talking about here, and the implications. And Loro, I keep saying Sauer. Loro is making, he's given the proper constitutional and historical context to consider the implications of not ascribing to the process, the political process that the founders conceived. There's some real world implications. Here we go again. When the ends justify the means, you don't think about how they can, the precedents you set can boomerang on you. And by on you, I don't just mean on one particular partisan camp, but I mean on the country as a whole, if you want the country to remain whole. So Loro, after the hearing, there was a opportunity for Trump to weigh in on this as well. He didn't make much in the way of legal arguments, but to no surprise, that's not his role. But Loro, in introducing Trump, sort of nicely summarized in layman's terms what is at stake here.
What was very significant today, and I'm sure you all caught it, is the special counsel conceded that if it was President Obama who was being prosecuted for a drone strike, then they'd have to consider immunity. But when it's not, when it's President Trump, then they're taking the position that there's no immunity for presidential acts that were required when a president is carrying out his job responsibilities. If we adopt what the special counsel wants, if we adopt what President Biden wants, then we open the Pandora's box to political prosecution after political prosecution after political prosecution. In fact, Joe Biden could be prosecuted for trying to stop this man from becoming the next president of the United States. We don't need political prosecutions. We need political process.
Right. So we don't need political prosecutions. We need political process. So, I mean, again, for those cheerleading Jack Smith and Florence Pan here, I mean, it's fine if you're playing devil's advocate, but we know where the D.C. appeals court is going to come down on this issue, and then it's going to go to the Supreme Court. But if you're cheerleading this, saying, well, but you know, any means necessary to get Trump. Okay, well, just remember, if you have a Republican administration that follows a Democrat one, we can wait for Joe Biden to get out of office. And if you have someone so inclined, then they can dummy up a process. I mean, with respect to Biden, it wouldn't need to dummy up one potentially. But even if they did, dummy up a prosecution, come up with a novel prosecutorial theory like Fani Willis did in Fulton County, Georgia, to bring a former president before the criminal courts. And we'll just do this over and over again, every single president, when it's, you know, you go from the party out of power to the party in power. Is that what you want?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
All right, to translate all of that even to more layman's terms, Donald Trump took the stage and had this to say.
I mean, Joe would be ripe for indictment. So you're saying that Trump shouldn't get immunity, but Joe Biden would? I didn't do anything like he did. I ran a great country. This guy's gotten $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. What's that all about? And that's the least of it. One of the reasons he's so soft on China is because he received a lot of money from China, and he's afraid to do anything about it or say anything because he knows. He's afraid to say, we have a Manchurian candidate in Joe Biden. We have to get him out. By weaponizing the DOJ against his political opponent, me, Joe Biden has opened a giant Pandora's box. As president, I was protecting our country and doing a great job of doing so, and the historians will be saying that. They already are. But just look around at the complete mess that crooked Joe Biden has caused. He's the worst president in the history of our country by far. He's also the most corrupt president. The least I'm entitled to is presidential immunity, just like any other president would get. I'd be the only one that they would even consider not giving me immunity, because for whatever reason, people are angry that I've done such a good job.
Mm-hmm. So that guy gets back into the White House, and then he has a litmus test for his attorney general nominee. Are you going to indict Joe Biden for, crimes related to the Biden Inc. operation? And if you're not, then you're not going to be my attorney general. I'm not going to nominate you. And then so he gets an attorney general that will. Maybe there's a strong case. Maybe there isn't. The argument about whether there is or isn't is immaterial. So the people that are cheerleading and running the political process that was described by Trump's lawyer, John Lauro, in order to get Trump, they'll be cheerleading. They'll be saying, hey, well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. When it boomerangs back on Biden or some other president or some other politician that they have an affinity for down the road? Of course not. And remember that as part of this conversation. The precedents that we set and the mindlessness of the ends justify the means crowd, wherever that crowd rears its ugly, thoughtless head. Now, in other Trump wrangling news, we have to mention this because this is wild. What you talking about, Willis? Fani Willis.
Yeah, she got a lover boy, huh?
A filing alleged by one of the defendants in Fani Willis's absurd racketeering case against Trump and company, a guy named Michael Roman. His attorney made a filing on behalf of her client, Michael Roman, seeking to have the charges against Roman dismissed, and for Willis, the special prosecutor she named in the case, Nathan Wade, and the entire DA's office disqualified from further prosecution of the case. Why? Because, as Amy was alluding to, the special prosecutor that she retained and she signed off on the bills that he runs up, Nathan Wade and her are allegedly involved in a romantic relationship.
Ruh-roh.
They've been vacationing together on Norwegian cruise lines and in the Caribbean, allegedly.
Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, too, yeah.
And she has paid his firm $654,000 since January of 2022.
To prosecute Trump, yes. And they're using those funds, to go on vacations, have nice dinners together. They have a little romance, Dan. Don't ruin a good thing.
Fani Willis has been subpoenaed to testify in Nathan Wade's divorce proceeding. That should be interesting. Where more information about the nature of their relationship, which hasn't been denied and it hasn't been confirmed, but a lot of anonymous sources are confirming it. This is really, really something. Living in a glass house, Fani Willis. Stephen Gillers, professor emeritus at NYU Law, said a closer look is needed before you can determine whether the indictment should be dismissed. But if the allegations are true, Professor Gillers said, quoting, Willis was conflicted in the investigation and prosecution of the case and wasn't able to bring the sort of independent professional judgment her position requires. It doesn't mean her decisions were, in fact, improperly motivated. It does mean the public in the state, as her client, could not have the confidence in the independent judgment that her position required to exercise. At minimum, it's an ethical breach, and everything associated with that indictment against Mr. Roman and the other dozen and a half defendants is fruit of the poisonous process, one would argue, and I think that is what is being argued, and the whole thing should be thrown out. And the DA's office under Fani Willis, what you talking about, Willis, precluded from bringing the case against Trump at all. Wow.
And he also charged $4,000 for a meeting with White House officials, this Nathan Wade.
Good times in the neighborhood. Jay, New Lenox.
Hey, I just wanted to comment about, we keep talking about Pandora's box and opening up the situation where, another maybe Democratic president could be prosecuted in the same respect. But I feel like the Democrats are doubling down. The deep state is so deep that they don't feel like they're ever going to be removed from power. So they can just manipulate the system and really have no recourse on what might happen in the future. I think that's why they're so threatened by Trump.
Well, threatened might be the better word. I mean, are they confident or are they threatened? I don't think I think they're taking the sorts of evasive actions they're taking because they do feel vulnerable.
Yes, and in some respect, I think they do, but I think you're right. I think they do feel. I think they feel empowered, but they also feel threatened at the same time, and they don't know what to do at this point. But they're playing the game well, and I think they're doubling down, and they don't believe, because of their deep state being as deep as it is, that they will ever be removed from power one way or another from whatever aspect they can take it from or angle they can use. They're going to use it, and they're going to continue to do it. If Republicans come into power, they're just going to double down on whatever they can to try and to get themselves back in. And I don't think that they ever think that they're ever going to be removed from power.
Thanks for the call, Jay. Well, as Fani Willis might say, it takes different strokes to move the world.
Oh.
Mike in Yorkville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan and Amy, thank you for taking my call. And just listening to that last caller, I was just kind of thinking about what he was saying. How do we not know that what they're trying to do to Trump right now is to set up a process that they have a precedent that saves their own heinies? And, just to go back to even some of the stuff that you guys had said about just the whole thing with Austin and all those other things, we could just summarize it. We're all waiting for November so we can get these people out.
I hope that's right. Thanks for the call, Mike. Jordan Antioch.
Good morning. To the point of the precedent, and if they do this, then that opens up Pandora's box and allows other, if there's a Republican administration, I don't think they care about that because I think they understand that.
They don't care about it now.
Well, but I don't think they care about it in the future either, only because precedent has shown, that any mindful Republican is not going to go down that road. They're not going to embarrass themselves and possibly destroy their career over, this kangaroo court crap. So I don't think they're concerned that the it's going to come back to them because I think they're fairly confident, and I think they would be right in assuming so, that the Republicans are never going to do this kind of thing to them in return. So they're carte blanche. They can do whatever they want. And I think to your other point about being threatened, I think they are. I think they are scared to death, and I think that's the whole reason behind the guy expanding to Jan 6. I think they want to push that message out even more. And same with Trump is, if you try to defy us, if you try to beat us, this is what's going to happen. So just don't try. But I don't think they're concerned about the future because the Republicans have not shown they're paper tigers. So, anyways, have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank. We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Paid actor portrayal.
Life can be so unpredictable. After losing my dad, it made me think about my family if something were to happen to me. I had heard about life insurance through Ethos and how easy it was to get coverage. They were right. In 10 minutes, I was covered. And boom, family protected.
Ethos fast and easy online term life insurance up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Infamous J6 agitator and enigmatic figure. That's generous. Ray Epps sentenced for his crimes on January 6th. What do you make of that sentence? We'll take your call, 636.
And 4,000 students forced to go on remote learning. Why? We'll tell you why. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
33 degrees at 6:32. Mother Nature's showing no mercy to some of the country. About 1 million homes and businesses without power as storms rolled across the eastern U.S. and the South. House Republicans are considering holding Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress today for defying a subpoena to appear. House Armed Services Committee launching an investigation into Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's secret hospitalization. Republican Mike Rogers says Austin must provide information about whether he directed staff to keep that hospitalization under wraps. Scorpions drummer James Kotak is dead at the age of 61. Kotak joined the band in 1996, became the first American to play with the German rock legends. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to seek governance reform there. Meantime, more trouble in the Red Sea as Houthis continue to attack ships headed to Israel. The latest from Tel Aviv and Fox's Trey Yingst.
A new attack was launched overnight by Iran-backed Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. A U.S. official telling Fox News that the combined drone and missile attack was the largest to date to target the shipping lane. 18 drones were shot down during that incident by U.S. forces in what is the 26th Houthi attack since mid-November. We're also following confirmation this week by the U.S. Treasury that Iran has accessed some of its $10 billion unfrozen by waivers permitted by the Biden administration. Blinken did address this just last week.
Central Command reporting no ships were damaged, no injuries reported. 2 U.S. and 1 U.K. destroyer took part in shooting down the missiles and drones. No one hurt following a shootout involving an off-duty Chicago police officer on the southwest side. It happened yesterday in the 7200 block of South Spalding. The off-duty officer remains hospitalized for observation. The village of Oak Lawn banning unscheduled migrant bus drop-offs. The village board voting last night to approve a new ordinance that requires a special permit to operate buses and ban those drop-offs. The mayor, Terry Vorderer, says the village simply doesn't have the resources to handle that issue. Search is underway for a 12-year-old girl who went missing in the Chicago area. It's an alert from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who says Lamaya Young was last seen in Evanston on Monday. Chicago sports. Cubs make a bit of a splash in free agency once all the details are worked out, apparently agreeing to a deal with lefty ace starting pitcher Shota Imanaga from Japan. Blackhawks lost to the Oilers 2-1, and the Bulls take on the Rockets tonight. The news, a service of Mattress Firm. At Mattress Firm's once-a-year sale and clearance, you can save up to 60% on select mattresses, plus score a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Here's to better sleep in 2024. The right mattress matters, and Mattress Firm will find yours. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees America waking up.
These past several months have seen Harvard and higher education face a series of sustained and unprecedented challenges. Because the American people are waking up to the cesspools that our universities are. I've called them moral and intellectual cesspools for decades, and now a lot of Americans agree.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Chronic pain, it can ruin your marriage, bring on depression. It's no way to live. But now there's a non-surgical way to get rid of that hip, back, and joint pain. It's called QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Did you know that your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue? And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetic providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People like you and me with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. Folks, this is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So fight back against the pain. Take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. This is the number, 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I mean, I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, wow. And I just appreciate, I'm impressed. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial, and I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code Chicago.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
6:38, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Palos Heights, you've got 135th between Harlem and Ridgeland closed due to high standing water and some flooding. I-80 accident, left lane block westbound right before Larkin. There's also problems on the Jane Addams with an accident, left lane blocked involving a semi. It's on the eastbound side of I-90 just before Route 72 in Gilbert's. Dan Ryan is fine. Stevenson running without delays. You'll see some brake lights central to Kedzie. Ike on the outbound side jams up Harlem to First Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast cast in the QC Kinetics Weather Center. Cloudy and 32 today. We may pick up a flurry overnight. Some spots could see some accumulating snow. And a low of 27. Mostly cloudy in the morning tomorrow. We'll top out at 30 by tomorrow afternoon. Dry conditions, clouds, 34 at O'Hare, 35 at Midway, 35 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about Trump in court in D.C. yesterday before the appeals court, arguing that he has immunity from the prosecutions that have been brought against him. Also in D.C. court yesterday was one Ray Epps. He was there to be sentenced for the crime he was, he pled out to, January 6th, related to his activity on January 6th. This enigmatic figure, Ray Epps, I'm talking about him for a long time because he was on the wanted list, then he was off the wanted list. He gave this interview to, I think it was 60 Minutes.
Yeah, it was
where
60 Minutes. Yeah.
Distanced himself from MAGA, doesn't believe the election was stolen anymore, filed a defamation suit against Tucker Carlson, ruined my life, and this and that. Here's a compilation of what Ray Epps was doing, did on January 6th of 2021. Where he was instigating the crowd to go to the Capitol, among other things.
Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. What? No! Peacefully. Fed. Tomorrow? I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested.
Well, let's not say it.
We need to go. I'll say it. All right. We need to go in.
Shut the up, Boomer.
To the Capitol. Face fed. We need to go into the Capitol. I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Monument Hill.
Stop speaking. We are going to the Capitol, where our problems are. It's that direction. Please spread the word.
All right, noted. Okay, but one more thing.
Yeah, so can we go up there? No?
When we go in,
are we going to get arrested if we go up there?
Yeah. You don't need to get
Did
shot.
you arrest us all?
And then this last bit was the confrontation between protesters and Capitol Police with the fencing in between the two, and then Epps is whispering in one guy's ear, and then they pick up the fence and sort of push it in the direction of police, and then move around police and head to the Capitol. So, that's substantial behavior in terms of instigation, one would think, at least according to the standards that have been set by the U.S. Attorney for D.C. in these prosecutions, right?
Yeah, I mean, the average sentence for J6 defendants is 3 years, and he got to phone into his sentencing Whether people had to be present. I mean, who calls into their sentencing hearing?
He
you ever heard of that before?
I
It's
had
not
during the
COVID
pandemic. He was given a 1-year probation, 100 hours of community service, $500 fine.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
It's really interesting if you get into some of the treatment of Epps by this D.C. court, the judge in the case, what both Epps' attorney and the prosecutor argued. One of the things that Epps described himself, what was described in the papers with the court, Epps described chilling harassment after pro-Trump media commentators suggested he could have been placed in the crowd by FBI agents to incite violence and embarrass the Trump movement. He had to sleep with one eye open. Epps said the harassment forced him and his wife to sell their business and move to another state. Received death threats after Republican members of Congress and conservative media spread false claims he was an undercover agent who helped incite the Capitol riot. During the sentencing hearing, even the prosecutor made a point of portraying Epps as a victim. The prosecutor said to the judge during sentencing, Ray Epps has been unfairly scapegoated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He wasn't held in pretrial detention either, like most people were.
The prosecutor played a video of Epps telling protesters on January 5th they should go into the Capitol, a video of him moving his hands toward a huge, heavy sign that later injured police officers. That's what I was just describing, what you just heard. The judge said the evidence about that sign was somewhat equivocal, and that he was a leader on Jan 6 was a vast overstatement. The judge said that Epps' decision to trespass on territory he knew was off limits was, quote-unquote, serious and may have warranted jail time without mitigating circumstances. What were the mitigating circumstances? He was the only J6 defendant to suffer for what you didn't do, said the judge. In other words, the only defendant to face threats and harassment because powerful people lied about his actions that day. The judge also noted Epps' early remorse. Thank you, 60 Minutes, for that staged remorse, and his longtime community service. Yeah. He was praised, the prosecutor praised Epps for his de-escalation tactics.
What?
Yeah. Epps' lawyer didn't want any punishment whatsoever. Epps' lawyer made a big thing about how Epps, in a post-Jan 6 interview with a citizen journalist, talked about what was happening at J6 being symbolic. His lawyer said to Epps it was just a symbolic amplification of his voice. Yeah.
I just can't believe he was given a sweetheart deal by a judge who's been really hard on others. I mean, don't forget that 70-year-old nonviolent female that was sentenced to 2 months in jail, and he gets no jail time?
So we have Clay Higgins on Tucker Carlson the other day, the representative from Louisiana, law enforcement background, saying there's evidence that they've cobbled together about J6 that has yet to be released. He suggested as many as 200 FBI assets in and around the Capitol on that day. Well, we don't know. And, of course, the FBI hasn't been cooperative, as everyone knows. This curious sentence and characterization of Ray Epps' conduct and again, also taking him at face value, these death, the typical, my life has been threatened, death threats, and so on and so forth. I had to move I had to move my business and my family because of harassment. So I'd like to see the documentation on that. What is that? What kind of harassment? Did somebody say something bad about you on Facebook? Be specific. That's not detailed. I'd like to know what that is. I'd like to know a lot of things. I'd like to know about Ray Epps' 180. I'd like to know how you can be on video instigating and be given this pass, in comparison to the sentences that have been handed out to others, number one. Number two, I'd still like to understand why you were wanted, then you weren't wanted, then you were charged with a misdemeanor. It's very, very Hunter. It has a very Hunter Biden feeling.
Yes.
We tried to close the door, but we couldn't get it closed, Ray. So we're going to have to give you a slap on the wrist to make this look all official and on the up and up. I'm not.
I think he's a federal informant. I've always thought he was.
Well, I don't know, but I know I have questions, and the people with the answers won't give them, and I know that's a problem. Keith in Carroll Stream, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Just wanted to put a little spotlight on those videos of Ray Epps. Most of those videos do come from a right-wing, I'm not going to say right-wing, but contributor from YouTube called Baked Alaska.
Yeah.
And roughly about a month ago, they were doing a research, and they found that most of the videos of Baked Alaska all had Ray Epps in it, which we're thinking that he might have been tailing him. So I just wanted to put that in there just because that wasn't being looked at.
Thanks for the call. Baked Alaska is mentioned, but, I mean, the bottom line, and he's not the only source of those Epps videos, too, or some of them at least, but the bottom line is it's not really being disputed what was said. It's not like somebody saying, oh, those videos are doctored. Ray Epps didn't say that. That wasn't Ray Epps. It's been photoshopped in or digitally manipulated or something. Nobody's saying that. They're just recharacterizing what he said and did. And again, that still doesn't explain, and if it's so innocent, why wouldn't the FBI or the DOJ simply explain it? Why are you on the wanted list and you're not on the wanted list? Why you're not going to be charged and then you're charged? Steve, Northwest Side.
I will bet every dime I have, every dime I will have, every asset I have or will have, that Ray Epps is a federal employee. I know how these people work. I've worked with them over the years. He is a federal agent. He may not be a sworn FBI agent, but he's an agent for the federal government. And what's galling, what really gets me going, is the fact that now they announced the other day, if you were walking past the Capitol, didn't participate in the riot, didn't go into the building, you've got the risk of going to jail. They're going to come after you. They're prosecuting you. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but he's not going to do any jail time. Part of the agreement was he gets probation immediately.
A year probation, $500, and 100 hours of community service. So you said you have experience working with these people. In what capacity?
As a Chicago police officer, I made the first Operation Greylord arrest. I think it was like back in 1980. I can't even remember now.
Wow.
I know how sneaky they are. I know how they behave and how they operate. This guy's a Fed. And that kid that was on that video, we see when he says, let's march into the Capitol, and that kid's going, Fed.
Right,
that kid's smarter than anybody. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. I'm so glad that guy said that, because that's exactly what he is. He's a federal agent. And,
thanks for the call, Steve. Appreciate it. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century with IoT Smart Connected Scanning. It's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
All right, feel good doing something for yourself, and that's taking balance of nature. Why? How many fruits and vegetables did you have yesterday? What about the day before? What about on the weekend? Well, if you're not getting enough fruits and veggies, may I suggest balance of nature? 31 whole fruits and vegetables. What they do is they take the fruits and vegetables and they're turned into powder after an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. Real food, real science, real nutrition. 6 capsules a day, three fruit, 3 veggies, and voila. You're getting the nutrition your body needs. Get the nutrition that your body craves. Get Balance of Nature. The number to call is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751, and be sure to use discount code Chicago.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-932-8603 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-932-8603. That's 800-932-8603. What do you have to lose? Call 800-932-8603. Again, 800-932-8603.
Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, on the Patriots Alaska cruise this summer. It's an incredible opportunity to engage with me and other like-minded patriots on an epic 7-day cruise over 4th of July weekend. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. What could be better? Join me from June 29th to July 6th. Call 855-565-5519 or reserve online. PatriotsAlaskaCruise.com.
Retirement planning can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Tune in to Retirement and Income Radio, hosted by well-known Chicagoland financial educator Mark Kohler. Mark helps listeners in or near retirement protect their savings from market volatility while creating lifetime guaranteed income. Listen to Retirement and Income Radio Sunday afternoons at 3:30 on AM 560 The Answer, or call Mark now at 844-619-SAFE.
AM 560 The Answer.
Dan and Amy, let's share a story that makes you feel good about humanity. We don't get to do that too often because Amy's so focused on politics and the negative. Right. And I just want to talk about happy things. Remember that Burger King employee who worked for 27 years, perfect attendance, and they got like a stupid gift bag with like a coupon for a big for a Whopper or something?
So awful.
Right.
That was a horrible way to recognize somebody for 27 years of excellence.
Well, get ready when you have your 27th year here at Salem because it's not going to be much better. So just get ready. Make sure you got the somebody to set up the GoFundMe straight away. Well, somebody set up a GoFundMe page for him after the story went viral and raised about $400,000 for Kevin Ford. Kevin Ford is his name. And now he posted recently what he did with the money that was raised for him and how thankful he is for people's generosity. Kevin Ford.
What's up, everybody? It's me, Kevin Ford. Kill Kevin, 27 years. Try to make this fast, but I know everybody's out Christmas shopping. You're in the spirit of the season, the spirit of giving and everything. And I'm trying to get through without crying. But I wanted to show you something you made possible. You, beautiful you, did for me, just a hard-working guy. Now, I know it needs some work. Cut off the haters already. I know it's not a mansion, but it's mine. I want to thank everyone all around the world for what you've done for me. Something I never thought would be possible for me. Home ownership. There's a kitchen, masters over there, a couple bedrooms over there. Now, my kids and my grandkids have some place to come visit me to. And I just want to thank everybody for being a part of this miracle. And for everything you've done for me and you continue to do for me every day. This is truly an American dream. It's a Christmas miracle. I don't have any furniture. Thank goodness people left this couch, but I do have the only furniture that's important. That's right, TMZ, The Today Show, and my brother forever, David Spade. All right, I want to thank you. I want to say God bless you, and remember, love yourself because I love you. God bless you. Thank you. Happy holidays, y'all. Kevin Ford.
Well, I got a question.
Yeah.
He gave you a little tour of the house that he bought. That house ain't no $400,000. What'd you do with the rest of the money, Ford?
Of course, you would ask that.
Right.
He decorated the place, Dan. Okay.
No, it's not. It's a great story. It's he's
awesome.
He's a deserving guy. I mean, it's nice that occurred for him. Yes.
And we
Very
get
happy for
certificates. It's all right.
Certificates of appreciation. You can't put a price on those.
Yes, I frame them and put them on my wall.
No.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, former CIA John Gentry on the deep state, 7:07.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
An ex-CPS principal accused of stealing $273,000 from taxpayers. And the Blackhawks fall short against Edmonton. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
We're just 5 days away from the first 2024 contest. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Donald Trump's running for his issues. Nikki Haley's running for her donors' issues. I'm running for your issues.
Ron DeSantis telling voters at a Fox News town hall last night he's been committed to Iowa, urging them to caucus for him.
I've answered questions from everyone in all corners of the state.
The Florida governor will debate Nikki Haley tonight, while former President Trump, the Republican frontrunner by far, will also be in Iowa at a Fox News Channel town hall as people in Iowa and across the Midwest shovel a lot of snow.
The plows are out this morning. It is frigid here in Madison, Wisconsin. A snow emergency was declared. This after this same storm system dumped nearly a foot of snow across the Great Plains.
Fox Weather's Max Gordon. That same system spawned tornadoes doing damage from Alabama to North Carolina. At least 4 people were killed, either by twisters or falling trees. There are more than 600,000 power outages across the country, and heavy rain has flooded areas in the Northeast, prompting New York officials to move migrants who came to the U.S. illegally out of a tent shelter.
So James Madison High School behind me, class should be in session, but instead we had 2,000 migrants from Floyd Bennett Field. They arrived here last night.
Fox Business Network's Madison Alwith says students there are learning at home instead this morning, taking Zoom classes. House Republicans who blame the head of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, for a record surge of illegal immigration hold an impeachment hearing in 2 hours. GOP Congressman Carlos Jimenez tells Fox Business,
what's happening at the border is a crisis, and it's a complete disaster.
Mayorkas says Congress needs to fix a broken immigration system. Iran-backed Houthi rebels launched their biggest attack yet on shipping in the Red Sea.
British and American officials tell us at least 18 drones were among the projectiles taken out using guns and Sea Viper missiles. There have been over 24 attacks since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
33 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. We're following breaking news this morning. First, a 43-year-old man who worked at a convenience store was shot and killed during a robbery attempt on the south side last night. Chicago police tell us it happened in the back alley of the store near the 300 block of East 79th around 10 p.m. And also, 2 were found shot to death inside of a home in Downers Grove last night. Police say it happened near the 6400 block of Fairview Avenue at about 10 p.m., and police believe the shooting is domestic in nature. No one is hurt following a shootout involving an off-duty Chicago police officer on the southwest side. It happened yesterday in the 7200 block of South Spalding. The off-duty officer was taken to the hospital for observation. The village of Oak Lawn is banning unscheduled migrant bus drop-offs.
We cannot and we do not have the resources to handle this issue.
The village board voting last night to approve a new ordinance requiring special permitting to operate buses and ban those unscheduled drop-offs.
To get ahead of it, we thought this might be the best way not only to protect the migrants in the winter, but our residents too.
Mayor Terry Vorderer says the village doesn't have the resources to handle this issue. Former Chicago Public Schools assistant principal is accused of stealing more than $273,000 in school funds. It's the Sun-Times first to report that a Cook County grand jury indicted Tracy Robinson, who served as number 2 at the Mark Skinner West Elementary School for nearly 12 years. Cubs finally making a splash in free agency, but some details to wrap up as they agree to a deal with lefty starting pitcher Shota Imanaga from Japan. Blackhawks gave up just 15 shots in a good defensive effort, but they still lose to Edmonton 2-1. Bulls take on the Rockets tonight. The news is a service of Remke's Garage. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage is your Sprinter, diesel, and Toyo tire headquarters. Visit remkesgarage.com. That's remkesgarage.com and schedule your inspection today. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka is getting prepped for a fight.
Are you ready for 2024? Are you ready for what the left is going to sling at those who love America? Let's make sure that whatever the crazies, those who hate America, throw at us, that we are ready and we are braced for the onslaught.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Joe Biden kicked off campaign season with a fiery speech claiming that democracy itself is on the ballot this year. He's absolutely right, though not in the way he intended. Biden was disparaging his likely opponent, Donald Trump, but there's never been a more autocratic administration than his own. It sought to censor Americans' lawful speech on the internet. It sicked the FBI both on parents who complained at school board meetings and on traditional Catholic churches in a hunt for supposed domestic radicals. None of this is how our democratic republic has ever worked. It's certainly unprecedented for any president to try to imprison his top political opponent, destroy his business, and have him thrown off the ballot. America indeed faces a crisis of democracy, but it's not coming from Donald Trump. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, for those considering careers in politics and policy.
7:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We will start on I-80 with an accident. Left lane blocked in Will County. It's westbound I-80 just before Larkin. Jane Addams accident, 2 right lanes blocked. Your stop and go from Route 47 this morning. Bishop Ford stop and go traffic. Typical morning heavies. 103rd into the Ryan merge. And the Ryan right now at 30 minutes. 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson outbound an accident with a right lane block between Cass and Lamont Road. Checking the Kennedy right now. Delays as you roll inbound between O'Hare and downtown. 21 minutes on that commute. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. We get the latest in the QC Kinetics Weather Center with our AccuWeather meteorologist Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies, high today 32. Cloudy flurries this evening. Snow late tonight, maybe an inch, low 27. Cloudy day tomorrow, and the high 30. Snow Friday, 3 to 6 inches, high 35. I'm Steve Williams, I am 560. The Answer.
Looking at our reporting stations, nothing to keep you from hopping in the car and getting to work. 33 at O'Hare, 34 at Midway, 31 in Aurora, and 34 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Federalists reporting on the censorship industrial complex that we've been talking about quite a bit over the last several months, thanks in part to the reporting by Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, two of the reporters that were also instrumental in the Twitter files reporting. Again, men of the left, both of them. We've talked about their testimony before the House Weaponization of Government Committee as well. Well, it's difficult to prevent the inertia behind continuing to fund these third-party cutouts, and that seems to be what the deep state, for lack of a better description, is doing with the support, obviously, of one political party in particular. Texas Republican Reps Roger Williams and Beth Van Doon write in a letter to the Global Engagement Center's James Rubin, who's a former Assistant Secretary of State. Williams and Van Doon chair the Committee on Small Business, Subcommittee on Oversight, Investigations, Regulations. The U.S. State Department, it continues to fund the GEC, which develops censorship tools for social media companies. The GEC is a State Department sub-agency that funded the development of censorship tools and used government employees to act as sales reps pitching censorship products to big tech, is what Margot Cleveland reported earlier. Through GEC, State Department funded the Global Disinformation Index, which we've talked about, one of these new tools. This is a disinformation tracking organization, so it presents itself, working to blacklist and defund sites that it say contain disinformation. Golly, what sites do you think those are? Like the Federalist, the Daily Wire? That's why there's a suit against the State Department over this very issue. And this is, again, the pending decision coming down in Missouri v. Biden is about this whole government using third parties to do unconstitutionally what it cannot do unconstitutionally. It's unconstitutional when they do it directly or indirectly, but that's what they were doing. And we saw this in the Twitter files as well. In fact, Rubin and the Global Engagement Center are named defendants in the lawsuit filed by the Federalist and the Daily Wire et al. NewsGuard, with board members that include former CIA Director Michael Hayden, General Michael Hayden, former DHS Secretary Tom Ridge. Again, developing censorship tools that social media companies may use on the provider side, could use a la carte on the user side. But the whole point here is in terms of where they're going to stay ahead of what is likely to come down from the Supreme Court in Missouri v. Biden about this unconstitutional use of third parties, is we won't have the government fingerprints on it anymore. We'll put government actors who know what to do, don't need any instruction, in the same position in these third-party operations and just let them do what they're going to do working with the big tech companies because they know what to do. Michael Benz, former cybersecurity dude at State,
anticipation of a devastating Missouri v. Biden ruling is to do a sort of middle-out restructuring, whereas instead of having things run out of CISA at the DHS or the State Department's Global Engagement Center, it would be run out of what they're calling a middleware company, a censorship service provider who sits in the middle between the user and the platform, but is intermediated by essentially intelligence agency and government and major government figures who inform that middleware censorship companies' policies and filtering mechanisms. So NewsGuard is an example of this. NewsGuard, of course, has Rick Stengel on its board, who ran the Global Engagement Center at the State Department, Anders Fogh Rasmussen, who was the head of NATO for 5 years in the Obama administration, Tom Ridge, the former head of DHS, and General Michael V. Hayden, who was a former four-star general, head of the NSA, and head of the CIA. So that's who's in control, essentially, of the middleware censorship provider, who is now also doing censorship compliance for this new European Digital Services Act. They're trying to get congressional regulations to mandate middleware so that it looks like it's coming from the private sector when indeed it's, again, being intermediated by these intelligence cutouts.
For more on this and the intel agency's attempt to manipulate presidential election outcomes, particularly if Trump is on the ballot, pleased to be joined by Georgetown University professor and former CIA intelligence analyst. He's also the author of Neutering the CIA, Why U.S. Intelligence versus Trump Has Long-Term Consequences. John Gentry joins us now. Professor, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good morning.
A lot to talk about, but I wanted to get you, and by the way, I'll say it before you do, because it's interesting, very much like we talk about Taibbi and Schellenberger. I've watched a couple of talks you've given. John Gentry did not vote for Trump in 2016, did not vote for Trump in 2020. He has no plans to vote for him in 2024. That's correct, right,
yes.
Professor? Okay. So just giving you perspective in terms of politics, read into that what you will. The censorship industrial complex that is being much reported on, mainly by Schellenberger and Taibbi, but not exclusively. How much of a concern is what you heard Michael Benz describe, what you've seen, I'm sure, from the reporting I mentioned? How much of a concern is that for you?
Well, I think it's a big concern. We have a huge amount of disinformation in the country as a whole, and unfortunately, our government, U.S. government, is not trusted by either the left or the right to be an adjudicator of what truth is anymore. My focus, of course, is more narrowly on intelligence officers.
Understand, and so on that score, one of the discussions I saw from you is focus on what you call sort of bottom-up politicization of the agency. What do you, of CIA specifically? What does that mean?
Well, for many, many years, going back to the very beginning of the U.S. intelligence community and CIA in particular, since in 1947, there was an organizational culture which said very clearly that it was inappropriate behavior to inject or suppress, as the case may be, information that would serve something other than the national interest. So that would be personal, organizational interests that are material or political or ideological in nature. And these have occurred very rarely in U.S. intelligence history, but they became very prominent in 2016. And having experienced this myself for a short time in the 1980s, it was a real wake-up call to me. So this is a major new event in intelligence history.
Do you peg that to an op-ed that former acting CIA Director Mike Morrell penned in 2016 endorsing Hillary Clinton?
Yes, that was the first of the obvious ones. The 5th of August, he wrote an op-ed piece in the New York Times in which he said his career at CIA was calling it as he saw it, and that's what he was doing now But what he was doing was two things very differently than it was traditional in CIA. He was calling a domestic issue, and he was making a recommendation for people to make a policy decision, in this case voting. So he misrepresented, in essence, the role of CIA to make his partisan political statement.
So you talk about this bottom-up politicization of the agency. So it's interesting because what we hear normally is we've got a leadership problem at FBI, or we've got a leadership problem at DOJ, but all the rank and file, these are good men and women doing the country's work best they know how, and they're trying to stay out of the political arena. But what your suggestion is that's not exactly the case.
Well, yes, but I think actually still most of the people in the intelligence community still are adhering to the old apolitical traditions, but there are loud and vocal partisans who are former intelligence officers who are under much less control or restrictions than government employees are per the Hatch Act, which prohibits partisan activity. And there is a growing number, but still probably a minority of activists within the agencies that express their politics through leaks. So
Would
the
you
number of leaks rose markedly in the Trump administration.
Mm-hmm. And so would you call the first impeachment proceeding against Trump related to that phone call with Zelensky, would you call that an example of the political activism, the politicization that you're describing in your book?
Well, it was political activism. I wouldn't call it politicization in this case. You had the story, as I understand it, is that there was a CIA analyst who had been on the White House staff during the Obama years, expressed unhappiness with Trump, was sent home, then got warning about the telephone call from Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, and then approached the House Intelligence Committee, and that sent things off to the races. So it wasn't politicization in altering an intelligence product, but it certainly was activism in the sense of being an intermediary between a White House person and the House Intelligence Committee.
So this politicization, why should we be concerned about it if it's a group of loud partisans, but most of them are outside the agency, and I guess if they're not part of these censorship gambits, then they're just talking heads on MSNBC or CNN. So what's the big deal?
So what's the big deal? There are multiple big deals still, even though some concerns I think are overblown. There are a number of important concerns. One, when formers who make political comments in the context of their intelligence expertise talk, that generates diminished confidence in the intelligence community. Senior decision makers do not have to listen to intelligence if they don't trust it. If it's not credible, they won't use it. And we know from a lot of history that intelligence, for all its limitations, is a help. What we also have is a situation in which the organizational cultures, and particularly the CIA, John Brennan in his book and interviews and so on made the point that he specifically tried to alter the organization of the organizational culture at CIA. And we know that when ideological bias becomes part of the analytic process, that analytic judgments are sometimes mistaken. So if you have then this kind of mistake, that leads to worse intelligence analysis, which in turn again damages national decision making. And a final point here is that not so much for the formers, but the current intelligence officers, through leaks of purposely inaccurate information, are in essence saying they wish to to influence the democratic processes in the country. So I would not argue that this is the greatest threat to democracy in the country, but you have some federal employees who are violating the Hatch Act in the sense that they are trying to influence domestic politics. And all of those things are very, very unfortunate from a national perspective.
Which is the most corrupting and the most damaging to the agency? Let's stick with CIA for the purpose of this. What you're describing there that's happening at the analyst level and maybe the managerial level, or what we saw with Mike Morrell being asked by Tony Blinken to write to organize that letter that was published before the November 2020 election that included a lot of former CIA saying that the Hunter Biden laptop had all the earmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign, which is more damaging.
Yeah, I think both of them are damaging. We don't really know what the leaks, what the analytic culture change implications are, because we haven't had major failures yet. But the Hunter Biden laptop case is I think the most obvious, easy to grasp, and egregious case of the injection of intelligence into the political processes. As you outlined, Morrell was asked to do this. He approached a number of former, not current, but former intelligence officers. All of the ones who signed that letter had signed previous open letters. And the pitch, according to one of the people who was approached, was that this was to help the Joe Biden campaign. The pitch was not, would you lend your intelligence expertise to take a look at this? It was, let us use your reputation for partisan purposes. And for that, in that way, it was highly inappropriate behavior.
And do you believe that affected the outcome of the election?
I have a political science background. I'd be skeptical of any things like that, any comments like that. But you had a drumbeat of efforts openly through formers on MSNBC and op-ed pieces and so on, and you had the leaks occurring through the full 4 years into 2020, and I think they contributed. And I think probably the leakers and the formers think that they contributed to Donald Trump's defeat. I think they're probably happy about that. And if need be, they will be willing to do that again later on in 2024.
So essentially you argue that the last 8 years represents a break in abuse within the agency and by formers of the agency. I mean, there's politics that creep in. That's always been the case, but that this is qualitatively different than in previous periods over the last 100 years, say in America. That's what you argue, right?
Yes, absolutely. Both quantitatively and quantitatively different.
So, I mean, maybe Trump isn't the best vehicle available, but I mean, you just said that the people who did the Hunter Biden letter would happily do it again. They clearly have, if you believe that, then you clearly believe they have no concern for the legitimacy of the agency in the mind of the American public. So how could you go with somebody that they do support one more time?
How would you go with someone who they do support?
They do support, like Biden's reelection, for example.
Yeah. Well, they mainly were going against Trump, so that implicitly then was for Biden. All of the activists this past cycle, not before, but this past cycle, have been from the political left. So they have been anti-Trump. They went after Mike Pompeo. They went after General Flynn, and so on, all for purposes of helping the Democratic candidate. So my guess is, to follow up, is that we probably will see a new crop of former activists, people like Mike Hayden, as you mentioned, have become very clearly partisan and probably have had their credibility damaged. But there'll be a new crop that will arise, I think, later on this year.
But you don't align with those people in terms of what they're doing.
Align with them? No, I don't align with them. My motive, you mentioned earlier on, I'm not talking about this from a partisan perspective. My interest, my focus here is trying to identify what happened from a social science perspective on the one hand, but also trying to convey to listeners that this is a bad thing from the national perspective. Politics in any form in American intelligence is a bad thing because it has consequences of the sort that I mentioned. And this will occur whether the politicization is from the political right or the political left.
Georgetown University professor, former CIA intelligence analyst, and author of the book Neutering the CIA, Why U.S. Intelligence versus Trump Has Long-Term Consequences. He is John Gentry. Professor Gentry, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Jeffrey Salvetti, Vice President of Blue Star Security and a 15-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. That's bluestarsecurityllc.com.
My brother was here with his wife, and I said, listen, take the rest of these 2 bottles. And my brother's like, well, and I said, no, there's nothing to think about. Just get it, order it, get it on auto ship. And in the first couple months, you may not thank me and go, I don't feel anything. But I said, but about that 3rd month, it starts kicking in. I mean, I'm singing, I'm doing dishes. I love it. Absolutely love, love, love it.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Did House Speaker Mike Johnson sell out conservatives in the budget deal? We'll discuss with Steve Moore at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:31. We have 33 degrees and cloudy skies today. Nearly 700 flights have been canceled already as deadly storms batter the U.S. Airports from the northeast to the Midwest to the south shutting down. Storms in Florida turning deadly as tornadoes struck the town of Lydia Cuts.
This has been a lot of storms in a row. We've never had things like this happen before where it's been one after another so frequently.
For us, another snowstorm is predicted to make its way across the Midwest from Thursday night all the way into Saturday morning. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to seek governance reforms. Meantime, more trouble in the Red Sea as Houthi rebels continue to attack ships headed to Israel. Total of 21 missiles and drones were used in an attack today. Central Command says 2 American destroyers and a UK destroyer took part in shooting down the missiles and drones. California lawmakers are debating whether to ban tackle football for children under the age of 12. The bill's a long way from becoming law. It must clear the state assembly by the end of January to have a chance at becoming law this year. Police say 2 boys who were hospitalized last week after falling through ice on a Madison, Wisconsin area pond have died. Sun Prairie police say the 8 and 6-year-old were hospitalized in critical condition last Friday after being pulled from the pond by first responders. We're following breaking news this morning. 43-year-old man who worked at a convenience store was shot and killed during a robbery attempt on the south side last night. It happened in the 300 block of East 79th Street around 10 p.m. Also, 2 people were found shot to death inside of a home in Downers Grove Tuesday night. It happened around 10 p.m. in the 6400 block of Fairview Avenue. Police believe that shooting is domestic in nature. Blackhawks give up 15 shots in a 2-1 loss to Edmonton tonight. The Bulls are back in action. They go for their 3rd win in a row when they host Houston. The news is a service of Remke's Garage. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's. The shop at Remke's is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Remke's Garage is your Sprinter, Diesel, and Toyo Tire headquarters. Visit remkesgarage.com and schedule your inspection today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Amy Jacobson here on behalf of all of us here at AM 560 The Answer. I wanted to take just a minute to say thank you to each and every one of you who's participated in our annual Food for the Poor campaign over the past month. Because of your generosity, we've raised nearly $200,000 to provide food for an entire year for over 4,700 children in Latin America and the Caribbean. We especially want to thank the many business benefactors who supported this campaign. This year, when you hear their commercials airing on this station, please support their businesses as a way of thanking them for their generosity. And just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. You can still make a tax-deductible gift of any amount to Food for the Poor by visiting 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. And on behalf of all of us here at AM 560 The Answer and at Food for the Poor, thanks again for your generosity.
Do you know that high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? In fact, 1 in 2 adults have high blood pressure. That's a 50-50 chance you're a walking time bomb. But you, not Big Pharma, can take control of your blood pressure before it's too late with my friends at 120 Life. 120 Life is a blend of great-tasting superfruit juices that actually help lower your blood pressure. It's formulated with ingredients that have been shown to naturally control high blood pressure and are endorsed by thousands of health professionals. You can try it for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use the code NEWYEAR to save 20% and receive free shipping. They are so sure that 120 Life can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks that they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied. So you have nothing to lose but those high blood pressure numbers. Order now at 120life.com and remember to use coupon code NEWYEAR to save 20%. This is serious. It's your life we're talking about here. So hurry up. The offer ends January 31st.
When you're looking to make your business bulletproof, what comes to mind? Trustworthiness? Accuracy? Truthiness? Well, that's not even a real word. In today's competitive business landscape, considerations like trust, attention to service, accuracy, and knowledge are critical. So is cost, and finding the right balance is important, especially where your business insurance, employee benefits, and executive compensation needs are concerned. For bulletproofing your business, remember DSP Insurance Services. DSP is family-owned and has provided comprehensive risk management solutions and strategic excellence across industries for over 40 years. Business owners continue to partner with DSP because they offer the robust services of a national broker, yet a personal touch that is harder than ever to find these days. Contact DSP Insurance Services for a business and risk audit today. Visit online at dspmybusiness.com. That's dspmybusiness.com. DSP Insurance, your outsourced risk management department since 1981.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. The Kennedy, 43 minutes and climbing right now. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. We've got solid traffic in the express inbound right at Costner. Ike inbound 51 390 to the old post office. As you're traveling on the outbound side, you're delayed between Cicero and First. Stevenson inbound 55 minutes, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Outbound is jammed because of an earlier accident between County Line Road and Lamont Road. Dan Ryan in 34 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go traffic on the Bishop Ford and I-57 as you roll toward the inbound side of the Ryan merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. The latest from the QC Kinetics Weather Center. Today, clouds, dry, high 32. Flurries will kick up through the evening. Could see some accumulating snow, a low of 27. Mostly cloudy in the morning tomorrow, high 30. But Friday, later in the day, the snow begins, accumulation of 3 to 6 inches and a high of 35. Currently clouds and 33. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, some conservatives in the House Republican caucus are none too happy with the deal that House Speaker Mike Johnson cut with Senate Leader Pagliacci Schumer. That essentially is a restraint on spending. It's not really a cut. I mean, it's a modest cut over what Biden wants to spend, but that's not much of a win. Basically, it's slightly more for defense and about the same for non-defense as last year. So it's about restraint, but it's certainly not about slowing the roll to America's financial insolvency, to the extent we're not already there technically. But is this the best we could do given the political landscape inside the Beltway? And I mean, not that I'm a Kevin McCarthy diehard, but I think the argument about what expectations were on this landscape, now it's gone from Kevin McCarthy to a very similar deal under Speaker Mike Johnson. Do you have now an appreciation for the composition of the House Republican caucus, the narrow majority that exists there, what they are and are not willing to do under the leadership of a Kevin McCarthy, or even somebody perceived to be certainly more intellectually conservative and talented, Mike Johnson? There's a certain political reality that you have to confront at a certain point in time. But that's not what I hear from some conservative talkers. Oh, Mike Johnson sold us out. Did he? Did he sell conservatives out? Or do you have to plant your feet on terra firma and fight it out and achieve more victories in order to achieve the electoral victories, in order to achieve the policy victories you seek? To help us with that question, please be joined by Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Mike Johnson sold out conservatives. Is that what happened?
Well,
Look, let's start with the big picture here. I mean, we have a financial fiscal calamity in Washington. I think every one of your listeners knows that. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. What's going on in Washington is extraordinarily dangerous for our country. Biden has come in and added $6 trillion to the debt. It's right, and I think everyone knows it's now just surpassed $34 trillion. By the way, when I came to Washington, when I graduated from the University of Illinois in 1983 and headed to D.C. into the swamp. Back then, Reagan was president, and I'll never forget the debt surpassed the $1 trillion mark. Can you believe it? $1 trillion of debt. And we thought, oh, my God, this is the worst thing we've ever seen. How could a country borrow $1 trillion? Here we are 35 to 40 years later, and we're at $34 trillion. And just to give people a sense of what's going on here, under what we call the Biden baseline, that is to say what he sees, what he would want to have happen over the next 10 years with his budget, it's headed from $34 trillion to more than $50 trillion. So this is as serious as a heart attack, and absolutely something needs to be done about it. Now, I agree with virtually everything you just said, Dan, and that doesn't happen a lot. But I think you nailed it. I think, look, the Republicans have a 3 or 4 seat majority right now in the House. That's out of 435, so it's razor thin. This is a gang of fools in the House Republican caucus that can't even get the 218 votes to agree on what day it is of the week. So, it's really difficult for Mike Johnson to corral these people together. And by the way, there's not virtually a single Democrat in the House that wants to cut spending. And
Right.
then you've got Chucky Schumer running in the Senate, and you've got, of course, the supervillain, which is Joe Biden, who never saw a spending program he doesn't like. So,
and just a reminder, just to interject too, a reminder within the caucus, that majority caucus in the House, are some Republican big spenders, and we know there's certainly a lot of Senate. No, there are a lot of Senate Republicans who are big spenders. That seems to be forgotten sometimes. Yeah.
You better believe it. You're 100% correct. You've got, you've got probably at least 25 to 30 House Republicans who don't want to cut a dime. So, we've been, and here's my point. And look, ladies and gentlemen, if you agree with what Dan and I are saying, and if you think that our country is in great financial peril, which I think most sensible people think we are, then really there's only one solution to this problem, or at least the first step. You have to get rid of Joe Biden, we cannot have another Democrat in the White House now, because their spending plans will send this debt to the moon. So I want to keep the focus on, yes, we have a financial catastrophe. The person who created it was Joe Biden. And I'm not blaming it. Look, the fact that we're at $34 trillion of debt is not just because of the Democrats. It's both parties. I want to be clear on that. But I've been here, as I just said, for 40 years. I mean, there's nobody who's been more financially reckless than Joe Biden, probably in American history. So that's where I stand.
But the argument that will be offered, and I'm not unsympathetic to it.
Right.
Is you have to make arguments. You can't just take positions. And so the way that you exercise the power you have, in this case House Republicans, in this case Speaker Johnson, is to say, no, we're not going to spend a dime. Forget this deal, this larger deal on discretionary or on military and non-military funding. We're not spending a dime until we get policy changes on border security. And if that brings everything to a halt and brings the American people's attention into zero focus on the border, then all the better, because we'll make our arguments, you make yours, and then we'll see where the pressure comes.
Well, get 218 votes for that. I mean, look, let's be political. What you say makes perfect sense if you have the votes to do it, Dan. And this is what a lot of my conservative friends are saying. So, the problem is, look, there have been 10 government shutdowns in the last 30 years. The media has blamed the Republicans on 9 of the 10 of those. So show me an example where the government shutdown, and like, there have been occasions when I've been in favor of government shutdowns, back when Bill Clinton was president and that kind of thing, when he had his famous battles with Newt Gingrich. But this is an instance where you're just so outgunned you just have to accept political reality. I mean, the American people voted for these fools. They're destroying our country. And the first step to solving this problem is to evict these people. And by the way, a lot of them are the people from the great state of Illinois.
Yes, we're familiar with them. Yeah. Well, I mean, so then there's, I guess, then you turn your attention to the border post this spending deal, and you make the case that we want to do this and they don't want to do that, and so it seems to me that at minimum you have to be relatively intransigent about extracting substantive, easy to understand policy changes at the border before you talk about more funding to this foreign actor or that foreign actor.
Yeah. So it's, as you know, I hail from the great city of Chicago, and so I have a lot of family members who are still there. And my brother the other day, who's actually liberal, sent me this headline from the Chicago Tribune, I think it was over the weekend, saying that something to the effect that the Texas governor, how dare he's shipping these illegal migrants into the suburbs of Chicago. Right. And he was saying, "Oh, how outrageous this is! This evil Republican government from Texas." And I just texted him back. I said, "David, you're the ones who made Illinois. I mean, I know Chicago is a sanctuary city. Is Illinois a sanctuary state?"
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, so you asked for it. Here they are. How do you like it?
I want to bust a Kenilworth next.
Exactly.
But, I mean, we're waking up today, and I don't know if you know, I mean, I'm seeing.
Say, "Oh, we care so much about the migrants. We should just let them in." And then they come to their, right down the street from them. "Oh, how do these people get here?" I mean, how hypocritical are these liberals?
Well, I don't know if you know what's going on in New York City. James Madison High School, 4,000 students are at home today, remote learning, because 2,000 migrants were shipped to their school last night in the cloak of darkness. I'm out of my mind. I am. This is, and it's not if it's when it's going to happen here. It's going to happen in D.C. It's going to happen everywhere.
Well, again, I mean, I'm only laughing because it's so pathetic. Because this what you said is absolutely right. They're shutting down the schools.
And it's not even remote learning. It's log on and get your assignment. The teachers don't even have to go online and do Zoom with the classes. You just go online and get your assignment.
It's unbelievable. And again, how did this happen? It's because and nothing stopped. The other look, and I'm pro-immigrant. I think immigrants are great for our country. But we have a legal system of immigration. So in Texas, I'm not making this stuff up. In Texas, the governor is trying to build fences and put some barbed wire along the border so they can't just all come in. And the border patrol. Biden's telling the Border Patrol to cut through the barbed wire so the illegal immigrants can get in.
Well, right, because the federal government has plenary power in immigration, and if they don't want to enforce immigration laws, then nobody enforces immigration laws, and that generates the response by Abbott and DeSantis to make every state a border state and see how you like it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so furious by this because. And then Biden says, "Oh, well, we're trying to, he's saying the border is secure and we're trying to do everything we can." No, they're not. They want these. And the question is, why do they want all these illegal immigrants to come in? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but, there is a big election coming up in November, and, they're not checking the citizenship of the people who are voting in a lot of these states.
That's true.
Well, right. You had that Yvette Clarke from Brooklyn say, I need the migrants in here for redistricting purposes. She said the quiet part out loud. But I mean, but here's what it comes down to. I mean, it may be difficult for people who love this country to hear. But look, if the American people decide to give away their country, well, that's what you can do in a free society.
Yep, we are a representative democracy, and we voted for these people. And how do you like it? But that's why I just find it comical that all these Illinois voters, I'm hearing from so many of them, and some in my liberal friends. Gee, why are all these illegal immigrants coming to Illinois? Well, because you voted for people who said, "Come on, guys, it's all free, and we'll give you free services if you come to Illinois." Which, by the way, the last time I checked, you're running a huge budget deficit in Springfield. So where's the money going to come from?
One other issue I wanted to tackle with you, per your Unleash Prosperity newsletter, is that jobs number that came out for December.
Oh, yeah.
A little deceptive. Actually, the jobs numbers we talked about yesterday are a little deceptive generally for 2023 because they've been driven by government job increases and healthcare job increases, and healthcare is basically utility these days because of the takeover of health insurance. So, but there's another aspect of the jobs numbers that's a little deceptive and maybe helps explain why still 3/4 of the country thinks that the economy's on the wrong track and they're less well off than they were pre-Biden.
So there's one person who doesn't agree with what you just said, and that's Paul Krugman. You know who Paul Krugman is, Dan? The famous left-wing.
I'm familiar with his work, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, he wrote in the New York Times yesterday how great the economy is right now. I'm like, maybe you should get out of your ivory tower and see what's happening on Main Street, USA. It's funny because the numbers came out on Friday morning at 8:30, and every once a month when those numbers come out, I do the Fox Business Show with Maria Bartiromo, and we talk about the numbers. And when I saw the headline number, which was 205,000 jobs, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good number. That's pretty good. We produced a lot of jobs. And then you peel back this onion, and everything else in the report is negative. More than 500,000 people left the labor force. They all of a sudden they're just not working anymore. So that's the reason the unemployment rate went down. Is all these people stopped looking for jobs. And then you look at by the way, the revisions that they've had this year have been almost 500,000 revisions downward. So they keep coming out with these good jobs reports, and then they keep revising the numbers downward. And you're right, the single biggest employer over the last 12 months, Amy, can you guess which industry was the biggest employer?
The government.
Government! Yeah, state,
Bingo.
local, federal government.
I heard Dan say that the other day.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, unfortunately, that number was a lot worse than was advertised. It's still a decent jobs market. There's still jobs out there for people who are looking for work. But I think the biggest problem, Dan and Amy, is we're missing 5 million, mostly males, between the ages of 25 and 60 who could be and should be working and are not. And we can't figure out why they're not working.
But there's another aspect. But there's another aspect of this too, and that's the number of people getting a second and third job.
Oh, that's the other thing, yeah. So there were more of the jobs that were created last month, more of those jobs were second or third jobs than first jobs for people. So if the economy is doing so well, Paul Krugman, why does everybody have to go out and get moonlight and get second and third jobs? Because their paychecks are not keeping pace with inflation.
Yeah, that's a nice wrinkle that has
What are you
been
doing?
underreported.
What are you guys doing at night? I know you're on in the morning. I don't know. Are you washing dishes at a local restaurant or something down at night?
I'm going to start picking up loops again at the local golf course. Make a little bit of pocket cash.
I'm going to drive an Uber.
Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Have a great week. Take care.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Chronic pain, it can ruin your marriage, bring on depression. It's no way to live. But now there's a non-surgical way to get rid of that hip, back, and joint pain. It's called QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Did you know that your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue? And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetic providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People like you and me with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. Folks, this is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So fight back against the pain. Take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. This is the number, 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
My brother was here with his wife, and I said, listen, take the rest of these 2 bottles. And my brother's like, well, and I said, no, there's nothing to think about. Just get it, order it, get it on auto ship. And in the first couple months, you may not thank me and go, I don't feel anything. But I said, but about that 3rd month, it starts kicking in. I mean, I'm singing, I'm doing dishes. I love it. Absolutely love, love, love it.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
In the greatest installment of Why Dan Proft is Single ever, the divorce of Marty Paris in Cook County. A lot of people have had the burden of going through a divorce, the pain of going through a divorce. I don't think I've never heard a case like this. You have to hear the Marty Paris case from Marty Paris at 8:08.
It's now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Making his case why Iowa Republicans should caucus for him. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I'm running for your issues, your family's issues, and to turn this country around.
Ron DeSantis also told voters at a Fox News town hall in Iowa this election should be about unseating the president.
I would love to be able to be in a debate with Biden and be able to hold him accountable.
But the Florida governor says if former President Trump is nominated,
the election is going to be about legal issues, criminal trials, January 6th. It'll be a referendum on him.
Tonight, there's a Trump Fox News town hall at 9 p.m. Eastern. Now, across Iowa and the Midwest, there's a lot of snow to shovel from the same system that did damage in the South.
Severe storms. We saw over a dozen tornadoes stretching from Tampa, Florida, all the way up towards South Carolina.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean, another twister killed somebody in North Carolina. There was also a tornado death in Alabama. Trees also fell and killed 2 people there and in Georgia, while heavy rain has flooded areas of the Northeast. An hour from now, House Republicans will hold an impeachment hearing, blaming Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas for a record surge of illegal immigration.
A group of state attorneys general from Oklahoma, Missouri, and Montana will testify about how the ongoing migrant crisis has impacted their states despite not being located near the southern border. Mayorkas has defended the agency and his job performance while consistently asking Congress for more resources and to pass immigration reform.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Some House Republicans also want to impeach Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin for not telling the White House he was hospitalized for days and not disclosing till yesterday he had prostate cancer and was suffering complications after surgery. Iran-backed militants launched their biggest attack yet, targeting shipping in the Red Sea from Yemen, but they were stopped.
It took 3 U.S. warships and a British destroyer to shoot down
21 drones and missiles, and for only the third time in history, F-18 Super Hornets scored air-to-air kills.
That's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. America's listening to Fox News.
33 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560 The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. We're following breaking news this morning. First, a 43-year-old man who worked at a convenience store was shot and killed during a robbery attempt. It happened on the south side last night in the 300 block of East 79th. And also, 2 people were found shot to death inside of a home in Downers Grove. It also happened Tuesday night around 10 p.m. in the 6400 block of Fairview Avenue. Police believe that shooting is domestic in nature. The village of Oak Lawn is banning unscheduled migrant bus drop-offs.
We cannot and we do not have the resources to handle this issue.
The village board voting last night to approve a new ordinance that requires special permits to operate buses and ban those unscheduled drop-offs.
To get ahead of it, we thought this might be the best way not only to protect the migrants in the winter, but our residents too.
Mayor Terry Vorderer saying the village doesn't have the resources to handle the growing issue. The Blackhawks won a lawsuit brought by a former prospect to be dropped. The team filed a motion yesterday to dismiss a negligence suit accusing them of covering up sexual assault and harassment allegations made by the former prospect in 2010 against then video coach Brad Aldridge. And a Lincolnwood family improperly sent their 2 children to a Chicago public schools selective enrollment grade school for 6 years. Findings were made by the CPS Inspector General's office. That report says once it was time for high school, the family moved to Chicago, but then lied about living in a low-income community to increase the chances of getting their children into a selective enrollment high school. Blackhawks last night lost to the Oilers 2-1. Bulls take on Houston later tonight. The news, a service of Salem Surround, providing your business with industry-leading digital marketing strategy designed to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Tesla is relaunching its more affordable Model 3 sedan in the U.S. The electric car has been restyled, but the price is unchanged. Tesla says it's now available in 2 new colors, Stealth Gray and Ultra Red, and has new wheels and a rear display for backseat passengers. It's already been selling the new version of a Model 3 in China and Europe. There's a sign the global slump in the chip market is ending. Taiwan Semiconductor's recent quarter was better than expected. TSMC makes microchips used in almost all electronic devices. Walmart is expanding drone delivery in Dallas. Eventually, it plans to have drone delivery available for about 75% of the Dallas-Fort Worth population. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola. Invested in you.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, tunein.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, business owners. Are you looking for a fast, easy way to get the cash you need to keep your business growing strong? I'm talking to Joel Bess, president of Swish Funding, and he says he has the perfect solution. Joel, what makes Swish Funding different?
Thanks, Mike. To start, at Swish Funding, we focus on your business revenue, not your personal credit score. And we're ready to help businesses with funding for overhead, expansion, inventory, payroll, or even slow cash flow. Next, whether you need $5,000, $500,000, or even $5 million, our process is quick, straightforward, and takes just minutes with funding available in less than 24 hours.
That sounds like a winning plan for any business. What does it take to qualify?
If you've been in business for over 1 year and have a monthly revenue of at least $25,000, you can get funding you need the same day.
Swish Funding really is different. Find out just how easy it is by going to swishradio.com today. That's SWISH radio.com. Swishradio.com.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, it's an hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Back outbound 33 to the big airport. Aiken 54 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson inbound right now 38 in from the Tri-State to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan 33 minutes 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. They have just cleared out a stall in the express lanes inbound at 31st. That's been gumming up the works for a while. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jams up northbound right at Bryn Mawr. Jane Addams at accident, 2 right lanes blocked. Eastbound right before Route 72, you're backed up all the way to Route 47. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast in the QC Kinetics Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
It'll be mostly cloudy today, the high at 32. Cloudy skies tonight, flurries, some snow late, maybe an inch, low 27. Cloudy day tomorrow, the high 30. Cloudy with snow on Friday, 3 to 6 inches, the high Friday at 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
33 at O'Hare. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
The most compelling installment we've ever done. And it's not close.
It was quite the tease, I have to tell you. I'm all snuggled up, ready to listen to this one.
The case of the Parises. 7 years, 6 Cook County judges, 7 kids, and after wife has an affair on husband and files for divorce, and millions of dollars have been transferred to pay for wife's lifestyle, to pay for wife's attorney's fees.
Mm-hmm.
Husband finds himself at 26th in California in jail this past Christmas.
No.
He's now on electronic monitoring. We're talking about a family law case. Yes. We're talking about a family law case. This is a civil case. So as corrupt as the criminal division in Cook County is because of the Tim Evanses and all the political hacks that were elevated to the bench by Madigan and Burke. Well, it's the same thing in all the other Cook County courts, too. You cannot have confidence in a system that produces the kind of results like the Marty Paris case. Let me just read from the memorandum in order dissolving the marriage. This is a year ago, December 2nd of 2022.
Okay.
This is 6 years in. Now we're in the 7th year, and I'll explain why. This is Judge Tim Murphy, his order. That, as Humphrey Bogart's fictional Rick Blaine stated in the classic American film Casablanca, we will always have Paris, so it may have seemed to the litigants, their attorneys, and to the Cook County, Illinois judiciary in this case, as witnessed by a review of the case's progress and history. I mean, it's a nice rhetorical flourish. I'm glad that Judge Murphy was having fun with this. And there is the listing of all of the judges, 5 at the time, now there's a 6th, and all the lawyers representing the wife and the husband. That's about 2 pages long over the course of 6 years. We will always have Paris, the Paris case. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Marty Paris, one of the Parises in this case that we will always have. Cook County seems to always have, that they won't relinquish. Marty, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yes, happy to be here, Dan. Or not happy to be here, but happy to be on speaking with you.
Yeah, I mean, I hope this is in some ways cathartic, but I also want it to be instructive, and I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners who've had to go through the pain of divorce, as I said, who've had bad experiences, and that includes women, too, women who feel like they've got taken advantage of by the system and by their ex-husband and so forth. So, but I mean, again, as I said, just a system that produces the kind of results that we're talking about here is a system that people should have no confidence in. And I've got my own stories, too, I'll tell someday, but let's focus on yours. So how does this take 7 years? How does this run up millions of dollars in legal bills? And how does this continue a year after the dissolution order, such that you find yourself in Cook County Jail, just recently released under electronic monitoring?
Well, Dan, that's certainly a lot of questions. One thing I want to start with that I think gets lost here a bit is the fact that I've never contested paying for my children. The only time I've ever been at risk of not being able to pay for my kids' school, my kids' activities, my kids' life of privilege was when I was incarcerated. And when you're incarcerated, you're stuck with the prospect of, how do I possibly follow through with the commitment I made to my kids, that I'll always be there for them and I'll always be able to support them and pay for the lifestyle that they've been accustomed to. And that's what's so horrible about this system is the law does provide some safeguards for people like me, but it provides the judges with enough autonomy that they can force you into incarceration, not just for paying for something of your kids that I would and have always been the only breadwinner and voluntarily paid for anything that my kids wanted to do, that I thought made reasonable sense for them. Certainly there was safeguards on the things they could do. They didn't have carte blanche. But the fact that the judge could incarcerate me over my wife running up, she ran up about $1.6 million of legal fees using 3 separate attorneys. She was able to get the court to put in an attorney for the benefit of the kids, Howard Rosenberg, who ran up something like $400,000 of fees. He couldn't pick my kids out of a lineup. That puts the total legal fees between the kids' attorney and my wife at $2 million. She hired a financial expert that ran up over $550,000 of fees, so $2.5 million. The amazing thing about the $2.5 million is her main attorney, Don Angelini, who put on the case, ran up a $935,000 bill. He never collected one penny from my ex-wife. They never made her put one penny of skin in the game to have an affair, file for divorce, and then contest everything I had that was there to pay for the benefit of my kids and the lifestyle that they had become accustomed to, which is really mind-blowing. As I think most people understand, Illinois is a no-fault state. There's no fault for divorce. You just have to file it and can get divorced.
Wait, so how did you end up in jail?
So the judge ordered that I was responsible to pay 100% of my wife's legal fees. And then my wife ordered a payment schedule that I had to make the legal fees on. So there's a collection schedule, there's a collection process in the law, but in divorce court, they can throw out the whole collection process, and the whole collection process becomes, if you don't write the $935,000 check to pay her attorney, Don Angelini, by X date, you're in contempt of court, and the punishment for contempt of court is being incarcerated.
And again, debtors' prisons are unconstitutional, as I understand it. 14th Amendment, the Congress has passed laws on this going back to like the early 1800s, and the case law is pretty clear. But that's de facto what you have here. Although Judge Abby Fishman Romanek, I guess she's the judge in this matter about payment of legal fees. She allowed you on electronic monitoring despite not paying the scheduled number you just described. Why did she do that?
Well, electronic monitoring to me appears to be just more imprisonment, right? The point in contention is me paying costs, yet electronic monitoring allows you 16 hours to travel, including work time. So the prospect that somehow in 16 hours during the week I could go make a living to pay these costs she's demanded I pay is obviously completely counterintuitive, and it doesn't even add up to the end goal of me somehow coming up with this $3 million of judgments that she is now requiring me to pay.
Well, and here, the other thing too, this is not like you're a billionaire and you have the money, you're just sort of digging in on principle. This is, you're a real estate developer, you don't have the money. And it seems to me this should be pretty simple. Forensic accountant comes in, says, here's the assets, here's the liabilities, and here are the encumbrances on some of the assets, like, partners in real estate deals and investors in real estate deals and so forth. And so, here's the net of what is realistic. Did that not occur?
Well, look, at some level they would say that occur, right? And the judge has an opinion of how real estate works and what real estate values are. Those of us that are in the business right now know 2023 was a very difficult year for real estate. Not to get too far into the weeds of real estate, but interest rates from 2022, short-term interest rates were like 10 basis points, and they went to 535 basis points, right? So when interest rates rise that aggressively, that impact, most real estate is encumbered with debt. The debt has payment based on the cost of the money or the interest rate. So your payments against your real estate asset went up exponentially, 5,250% if you had short-term money financing those deals. That impacts two things, the cash flow of the real estate and the value of the real estate, right? So many real estate people saw their portfolio values diminish significantly and their cash flow diminish significantly. The system has a collection process that allows people who have a right to collect debt from you to find out what money you have available and collect that money. But divorce, because they have incarceration, they bastardize the whole collection system, and a judge just opinions that you have the money and you should write the check, and the penalty for being on the wrong side of that opinion is incarceration.
Well, are you able to see your kids?
Well, it's difficult to see my kids because I'm confined to a house. I don't currently have a residence that I occupy in, so I have a friend that's been good enough to let me stay at their house. And again, today's Wednesday, so it's called a essential movement day in the electronic home monitoring system. So I'm allowed essential movements between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., which means I can leave this prison, this house that my friend was nice enough to let me stay in, from 8 to 4. So my parenting time, I do have parenting time tonight. It starts at 8. I'm fortunate. I have 7 kids. One of my college-age kids is still out on holiday break. So she'll hopefully be good enough to drive my younger kids over here. I'm only staying a couple blocks from the family residence that I own and pay for. And so hopefully I'll get to see my kids tonight at 6 when my parenting time starts. But I'll see it inside the 4 walls of this house I'll be confined to until next Monday at 8 in the morning.
So, concurrent with this collection issue for your ex-wife's legal fees is you're in bankruptcy court. You're filing. You filed Chapter 7, right? So you also have legal constraints on paying anything based on shaking out the particulars in bankruptcy court, and that's something else that is that understood by the Cook County judge here, Romanek?
I mean, it's been complete. She's made, sarcastic comments that maybe bankruptcy didn't work out so well for you. The point of filing bankruptcy is I put my estate in the hands of a federal bankruptcy trustee. So everything I have now, everything I own is in the hands of a federal bankruptcy trustee. And basically a plea from my side for someone who can understand the financial dynamics of my holdings, and satisfy the creditors that I have the ability to satisfy. I filed for bankruptcy the day that I was arrested on the body. It's called a body attachment. They attached my body they attach on my body a $500,000 payment, and I'm in jail until I make the $500,000 payment. Before the holiday, she decreased it to $300,000 as her Christmas gift to me. And then after the first of the year, she decreased it to $150,000. I was able to borrow $150,000 from family. But when you give the money to the bankruptcy, all the money I have now to the bankruptcy trustee, I'm trusting that he can help sort out the financial obligations that the divorce court has put on me. The divorce court doesn't like that because there's somebody else there now in control of my finances. When you do that, the law provides that you get something called an automatic stay. Everyone has to stop collecting on you because you've given it to a trustee to help sort out for the benefit of your creditors. The state court ignored that completely and held me incarcerated, even though all the money I had been turned over to the bankruptcy trustee.
And part of the reason you're there, as I'm reading about the public filings in this case, I mean, there were judgment calls made by Cook County judges along the way that are baffling. For example, you tried to quit Oak Park Country Club, your membership at Oak Park Country Club, and the judge wouldn't let you quit your membership because I guess that's part of the lifestyle to which your ex-wife had become accustomed. So you have to keep the membership so she can enjoy the membership and go there with her boyfriend that she had the affair with and spend your money enjoying Oak Park Country Club. Is that right?
Yeah, both Oak Park Country Club and Union League Club played for many dinners and rounds of golf between her and her paramour, as they call them in divorce proceedings.
That's very generous. One of the other things that is an interesting wrinkle here is that her paramour is an attorney at one of the firms that you have to pay under this order to pay the legal fees.
Yeah, and again, the whole circumstance is couched in my poor wife who doesn't have anything, right? My poor wife who doesn't have anything is able to afford 5 attorneys to contest my bankruptcy, including one of which is her boyfriend. 5 attorneys.
Okay.
It's just hard to process the craziness.
And oh, by the way, do I understand?
As part of the divorce decree to even have to look for a job until my now 4th grader, which is my youngest child, gets to 8th grade. And at that time, she's required to start looking for work.
And what was, I mean, the dissolution of marriage happened, again, as I mentioned at the outset, a year ago, December. So what was she given in that distribution of assets then? What is she, she has something, and it's including the house.
Correct. Yeah, she got access. She has full use of the house, which costs about $12,000 a month in payments that I make. In total, she is awarded between maintenance and support approximately $25,000 a month, which means I need to make each month about $40,000 because you got to pay Uncle Sam his cut, and then of course pay for all your expenses after taxes.
And one other wrinkle here too. I understand that your ex-wife's aunt is a Cook County judge, retired, and she is also the sister of longtime lobbyist and Madigan confidant Bill Filan. Is that right?
Those are all true facts. So those are pretty good people who have been pretty supportive on us, at least trying to resolve our issues in the best interest of the family. So,
okay. I'm just saying, in terms of the system, not necessarily the family, but the system. The relationships matter in the system, and so I mean, but the bottom line here is, you don't have what they're demanding. And nobody can prove that you do. I mean, it's not like it's not like there's questions about Swiss bank accounts. It's just you've got you're in federal bankruptcy court. You've had a dissolution of marriage. They've got the attorneys. They've got the forensic accountants, and you just don't have the money, right?
Correct. I don't have the money. If I had the money, there's simple legal collection techniques they could do to try to get the money. They've ignored all of that to use the leverage of a judge who could say, no, he has the money, and if he doesn't give it to you, we'll incarcerate him.
And what, I mean, just for maybe sort of an officer-friendly, you don't want to go to 26th in California moment for our audience, for the kids out there. What was the 26th in Cal experience like over the holidays?
Well, it's dismal, right? There's all these people with no future stuck in jail cells staring at a wall, right? I mean, the best thing about Christmas is there's a lot of basketball and football to watch, so the day went fast. My cellmate was a 52-year-old, former South Side resident. 52 years old, he had been incarcerated 36 years of his life. I mean, imagine the life prospects of that poor guy. 36 years, he's actually a clean freak, which is kind of wild. Not what you expect somebody who was in on gun charges and attempted murder charges. He was facing between 3 and 30 more years in prison under the current charges. And I spent 3 weeks sharing a cell with this guy. So it produces many stories that I'll have for a lifetime, but none of which were productive in helping me facilitate facilitate money for the benefit of my kids, opportunity for the benefit of the kids, trying to preserve a business that is, on the ropes when the leader of the business isn't available to run the business. Nothing about it was productive for me, for my kids, for my family, or for society, as far as I'm concerned. I understand it's about $1,500 a day for the state to keep me incarcerated, serving me miserable bologna for lunch.
When's your next court appearance?
Next court appearance is January 19th.
And then hopefully you can get off electronic monitoring. Is that possible?
It is possible. I hope to be able to get it off. Electronic monitoring is for, as I understand it, it's for criminals. It was a solution for an overcrowded jail system, and somehow it's been applied to me, from my perspective, in my opinion, kind of haphazardly, creating no value for what the purpose is. The purpose is for me to get money so that I can pay these obligations, and I'm limited to 16 hours a week being able to be outside of the confines of this house that I've been, provided housing at.
Well, you know what the good news for that guy incarcerated for 36 of his 52 years was? Good news for him? He never ran into Marty Parris's ex-wife. He got away with that. So he skated on that one. I'm sorry to have fun at your expense. Marty Parris, thanks so much for joining us and going through all of this for the benefit of our listeners and anybody who has the misfortune to have to engage the Cook County court system. We appreciate it. Good luck out there.
Yep. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy. Nice to speak with you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I need to take a cleansing breath after all that. I just
I want to be single now. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah. Right. All right. At 8:38, we'll talk identity politics. We'll introduce you to the All Souls Choir. Wait till you hear this song. Lionel Shriver joins us at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
33 degrees at 8:31. Mother Nature showing no mercy on much of the country. About 1 million homes and businesses without power as storms rolled through the eastern and southern U.S. House Republicans are considering holding Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress today for defying a subpoena to appear before a deposition. House Armed Services Committee launching an investigation into Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's secret hospitalization. It's being led by Republican Mike Rogers, who says Austin must provide information about whether he directed staff to keep his hospitalization under wraps. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, all part of a plan to rally the region behind a post-war vision for Gaza. Federal regulators are extending the grounding of some Boeing jets after an Alaska Airlines plane lost a side panel last week. The FAA saying that guidelines for inspecting those planes for safety are being revised. We're following breaking news for us this morning. 43-year-old man who worked at a Chicago convenience store was shot and killed during a robbery attempt on the south side last night. It happened in the 300 block of East 79th around 10 p.m. Also around 10 p.m. last night, 2 were found shot to death inside of a home in Downers Grove. It happened near the 6400 block of Fairview Avenue. Downers Grove police believe that shooting is domestic in nature. Cubs finally making a bit of a splash in free agency. Not all the details officially have been worked out, but it appears the team has agreed to a deal with lefty starting pitcher Shota Imanaga from Japan. The Blackhawks, a 2-1 loss to Edmonton last night, and the Bulls go for their 3rd win in a row, hosting the Rockets at the UC. College hoops last night, Nebraska dumps number 1 Purdue, 88-72 in Lincoln. The news, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They have helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
When you're looking to make your business bulletproof, what comes to mind? Trustworthiness? Accuracy? Truthiness? Well, that's not even a real word. In today's competitive business landscape, considerations like trust, attention to service, accuracy, and knowledge are critical. So is cost, and finding the right balance is important, especially where your business insurance, employee benefits, and executive compensation needs are concerned. For bulletproofing your business, remember DSP Insurance Services. DSP is family-owned and has provided comprehensive risk management solutions and strategic excellence across industries for over 40 years. Business owners continue to partner with DSP because they offer the robust services of a national broker, yet a personal touch that is harder than ever to find these days. Contact DSP Insurance Services for a business and risk audit today. Visit online at dspmybusiness.com. That's dspmybusiness.com. DSP Insurance, your outsourced risk management department since 1981.
Long day. Time to charge up.
Hey, just like my delivery truck.
Even kids know to keep business moving forward, it's time to make the switch to electric vehicles. Whether you have one van or a whole fleet of trucks, resources are available to help you make the changes that make sense.
Let's go!
Beep, beep.
Go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Does your home feel chilly? Utility bills seem high? You wonder if your home is properly insulated? Hi, I'm Roy Spencer of Permaseal. For several years, we've been insulating basements and crawl spaces to make floors warmer and reduce utility bills. Now I'm very excited to tell you we are moving on up to the attic, the #1 source of energy loss in most homes. We are, of course, following the same Permaseal commitment to doing the job right. If you're not testing, you are guessing. So our process starts with a blower door test, which will measure the actual size of the energy loss in your home. Then using thermal cameras, we identify the precise location of the air leaks. We seal those with an expansive spray foam, and only then do we add additional insulation if needed. Bring your house up to code, and more importantly, make your home feel more comfortable and substantially lower utility bills. As always, we provide free, honest estimates by trained professionals. Call 800-421-7325. That's 800-421-SEAL or visit permaseal.net.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig and Leslie Bolano Sunday mornings at 10. Learn more at investwithwmg.com.
It's 8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time will start on the rails. Metro Union Pacific Northwest Line trains inbound and outbound stopped with delays of an uncertain duration. It's all due to a power pole that is dropped across the tracks near Mount Prospect. Estimated delays are unknown, and we'll keep you advised. Meantime, Jane Addams, an earlier accident cleared eastbound just after Route 47. Tri-State jams up northbound right at the Stevenson. Bishop Ford, right now, red numbers, 111th into the Ryan merge. The Ryan itself is 30 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. And the Kennedy right now is at an hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Traffic is a service of Lowe's. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances, plus an extra $100 when you spend $999 or more on all major appliances. Valid 1/4 to 1/24. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See Lowe's.com for details. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center with the latest forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center. Cloudy and 32 today. A flurry may kick up overnight, a low of 27. Mostly cloudy tomorrow and a high of 30. 33 right now at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So on the matter of that Alaska Airlines flight that lost its door in flight.
Yeah.
The entire fuselage of the jet, including the plug door, is assembled in Wichita, Kansas by Spirit Aerosystems. It arrives by train to Boeing's Renton plant. In Renton, Boeing mechanics and quality inspectors complete the cabin interior, adding the wiring, insulation, sidewalls that would cover the plug before adding the seats, gallery, lavatories, and other interior elements. Investigators hope to find the piece that fell somewhere south of Portland and will comb the manufacturing assembly and inspection records. The lack of any deformation around the hole in the fuselage made it look like the initial cause may have been a Spirit quality control issue. Spirit Aerosystems that assembles these plug doors.
Right.
The Boeing MAX 9 fuselages supplied by Spirit last year featured a stream of various defects, including improperly drilled holes in the aft pressure bulkhead and fittings that attached the vertical fin to the fuselage that didn't conform to the spec. Other serious lapses forced Boeing to delay MAX deliveries. In early October of last year, Spirit CEO Tom Gentile was fired and replaced with a former Boeing executive. Spirit Aerosystems. Here's what Spirit Aerosystems is super jazzed about.
At Spirit Aerosystems, we know that it takes work to be an all-inclusive, diverse workplace. Spirit also recognizes the value of embracing perspectives from all people, places, and walks of life. Spirit is a company where diversity is a competitive advantage.
It's one thing to go out and recruit a diverse workforce, but the whole idea of strategic diversity management is how do you leverage that talent?
It's absolutely imperative that this organization connects all the people in it and gets all the best ideas, the best thinking, diversity of thought, all of those things.
It's important for us to challenge ourselves because people come from different experiences, and all of those experiences bring new perspective.
At Spirit, the most complex problems are solved when employees from different viewpoints have a voice. The future growth of our company depends on it.
Spirit operates in a global environment, a very diverse global environment, and so it's important that we get everybody's perspective. Everybody brings something very unique and important to what we do at Spirit.
Diversity lends itself to that feeling of all-inclusive. When the employee feels they have the opportunity to collaborate and provide their ideas, that really gives...
Yeah, you've heard the diversity claptrap before. Rod Dreher writing about this. To be fair, we have no idea for sure if Spirit Aerosystems' work was at fault here, and if so, why their work broke down. Certainly, I'm not saying that non-white or non-Asian engineers are subpar. I'm saying that if you hire for any reason other than excellence, you are weakening your product or service. Right. What you didn't hear, and you never hear in those diatribes, is any talk of excellence. We hire the best people. We have the best engineers. We have the best problem solvers, and so on and so forth, greatest designers. No. It's all about everybody providing input on everything, and that makes us inclusive, and magically that ensures the quality of our product. Well, maybe not.
No, and they're just lucky no one died.
Well, and so this is the point. If it does turn out, and even if it doesn't, the conversation about the seriousness the seriousness of the potential consequences when you take your eye off the excellence target. You take your eye off merit, and you get in this business of feeling good about yourself by having, a demographically representative workforce, regardless of, or at least secondary is the quality. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Lionel Shriver. She's written extensively about this over the years. She's a contributor to The Spectator, best-selling author of We Need to Talk About Kevin, and most recently Abomination, selected essays from A Career of Courting Self-Destruction. And even more recently than that, this year, I don't know if it's out yet, we'll ask, she's got a new book coming out entitled Mania. Lionel Shriver, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
So is Mania out yet, or is that still pending?
Not quite. It comes out in April.
Okay, great. Well, good. We have a lot to look forward to. We've spoken
and,
a lot.
If a certain contingent doesn't hate it, I will have failed in my mission.
I assume that contingent. I think I remember from our conversation, we did a podcast on my counterculture podcast discussion that it addresses some of what we were just talking about here, the diversity, equity, inclusion versus merit business.
Indeed. And it's been gratifying from a distance to see that regime take a hit with the Claudine Gay story.
Well, but speak to sort of your perspective on this, and maybe even give us a preview of the gist of your new book, Mania. I mean, this is maybe something that brings it home and makes it concrete, makes it more than just about college admissions in Ivy League schools that are not particularly relevant to most people.
Well, the premise of my new novel is that suddenly it seizes the Western world that there is no such thing as stupid, that all humans are equally smart, and cognitive discrimination is the last great civil rights fight. And the concept is deliberately designed to express about a millimeter from where we are now. And it's, as you were describing, excellence and competence in the novel not only don't matter but become suspect, and rapidly it becomes a regime that actively promotes people who are dumb.
Idiocracy.
The truth is that this was a problem with Biden's administration from day one. All of the people he appointed to the cabinet, to his staff, we were told on a daily basis that what qualified them for the job was that their race or their gender or their sexual preference, but never their competence. And that made me alarmed from the get-go.
Right, and this is what like Stanley Goldfarb has been saying about medical schools too, writing about for some years now in the Journal and elsewhere. It's like you do a disservice all the way around. You're not focused on competence, and that endangers patient safety and quality of healthcare provision. And it also, at the same time, casts a shadow over minorities in the profession who may be uber competent, maybe the best in the profession, but because people know that this counting by race and gender identity business is going on, they're rightfully suspect as to how you got to your position.
Which is why, which a lot of people don't know, a majority of Black Americans do not like affirmative action, and I agree. It's a form of condescension. It's like, oh, you're not going to make it under normal standards, so you need help, and it's insulting. And it also perpetuates prejudice, because if all the Black doctors have been admitted to medical school under using much lower standards, then once they become professionals, how are their patients going to feel? Are they going to trust these doctors? Are they going to instinctively feel that they're going to get substandard care? Are they going to be, practically speaking, prejudiced because they can't assume that these people were trained to the same standard as another race? So there's very little to be said for this stuff, and I was hoping that that especially with the Supreme Court decision on university admissions, that maybe we were beginning to see the back of this, but I'm afraid not. That post-2020, the whole George Floyd overreaction has meant that now we've got affirmative action on steroids. And affirmative action itself is not an appropriate term, because there's nothing affirmative about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the DIE stuff is deeply embedded. So even to the extent that some of it is getting uprooted, there's a long way to go. I wanted to get to another topic that you tackled. Of course, we're dealing with it in Chicago. Well, every state is a border state now in America. And that's immigration, and you're sort of two minds on it because you've been an immigrant yourself throughout your lifetime. But I thought it was interesting, these qualities that you identified that the lawlessness at the border, say in America, evokes among so many ordinary citizens, which is both rage and incompetence, and the combination of those reactions being a real cauldron.
Well, it's funny, I've developed what I have to regard as an unhealthy habit of reading the comments after articles about immigration, because I'm less interested in what the journalist has to say beyond the facts. I'm especially interested in the temperature of opinion on the ground. And what really fascinates me is that, okay, I read the Daily Telegraph in the UK. It's a conservative paper. I expect that readership to be upset about illegal immigration in particular. But it's New York Times readers that really surprise me. And we know what generally they're going to be like. It's, that's a Democratic readership. They're enraged. Those comments are absolutely boiling with fury and resentment. And that was even the case before New York City itself was inundated with migrants from the southern border. There's just a feeling of this is out of control. This isn't fair to us. We're expected to, educate these people's children and give them free health care and put them up for a place to stay and give them food. And we can't let in the entire rest of the world that would rather live here than there.
Yeah, but then it sorry for interrupting, but it got worse this morning when 4,000 students were kicked out of their own school because 2,000 illegals were placed there last night because of inclement weather. And that is not going to sit well at all. That's in New York City, and that's only a matter of time before it happens in D.C. and it happens in Chicago.
Well, they're taking over athletic facilities in schools.
No, they're taking
gyms.
Right, but they actually, there's remote learning today for 4,000 students because they've taken over their school and they can't have intertwine the students with the illegals.
That's shocking.
Oh, it's un-American that they're choosing them over U.S. citizens and students who have been locked out, especially in New York, for 2 years because of COVID. And now they're doing the same thing starting this morning. So I think that's going to be another big black eye for Biden.
If you live in New York, nobody puts you up for free in a hotel.
No.
Right?
No, and gets
You're
3
probably
meals a
going to be
day
spending close
and
to
room
half
service.
Your income on housing.
Well, but no one can be illegal. No human is illegal. Mm-hmm. The sloganeering that you get in response to these real world applications of their philosophy. No one is illegal, and I mean, basically they're demonstrating what some conservatives have been saying for a long time is, look, when they say no one is illegal, they mean it. There's no difference between anybody from anywhere in the world and America, and I agree with them in the eyes of God. But in terms of the difference between being a U.S. citizen and not a U.S. citizen, and the rights and responsibilities and privileges that come with that, they don't see a distinction, and they're not making any.
Oh, they've been eroding the distinction between citizen and non-citizen for years now. That whole business of making sure that even if you're in the country illegally, and by the way, one's presence can be illegal, can get driver's licenses. There are even moves in some places to allow them to vote. I mean, why should they even bother going through the sometimes arduous process of becoming a citizen? Because it doesn't really accord very many other privileges.
And what was the process for you to establish residency when you went from America to the UK and then UK to Portugal?
It was very complicated, time-consuming, heavy in paperwork, and expensive. And I have just gone through that again to get residency in Portugal. That was a serious nightmare. By the way, all the people who tell you they're moving to Portugal, they're not going to do it. It's too hard. And I think that's one reason I have strong feelings about immigration as a topic, because I have jumped through a lot of hoops in order to follow the rules, and that's the case with all kinds of legal immigrants to the United States. We make it incredibly difficult, and you have to wait for years. And those are some of the people who are angriest about what's happening at the southern border, because they filled out all these forms and they filed all these fees, and they've waited their turn, and then there are all these people coming in and are treated like guests of the nation. And I'm very sympathetic with that, because most of the West's legal procedures for immigration are onerous in the extreme, and kind of humiliating. You have to demonstrate you have enough money, and you have to produce all these forms. You have to get I had to get a police check for coming to Portugal, multiple health insurance policies of every description, very expensive, and then to just have literally millions and millions of people ignore those procedures and just dump themselves on your mercy, well, it's flagrantly not fair.
Lionel Shriver is contributor to The Spectator, best-selling author of We Need to Talk About Kevin, and pick up her latest that's out in April. So she said, Mania is the name of the new book, Mania. Lionel Shriver, thanks so much for joining us, as always. Appreciate it.
Really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, and she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You cannot live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago to set their legacies in stone. With 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, a prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
All right, do you have joint pain in your knees, joint pain in your hips, back pain, and you don't want to get surgery? Well, guess what? You don't have to. QC Kinetics, do it. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. You know, your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. You don't have to take vacation time to get an operation because you don't need one. The future of pain treatment has arrived. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetics providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with that back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. This is not a Band-Aid, folks. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. So get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. This is the year you decided to fight back against that pain. So take the first step now and call QC Kinetic. Get a free consultation. You have nothing to lose. The number to call, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560 The Answer.
All right, thanks for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Have a wonderful day. It's going to be cloudy skies and chilly. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Only one cabinet secretary has ever been impeached. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and that was in 1876.